Hello. I think we're live. Well, YouTube says we're live. Who have we got in? Well, Kim was first. I know this for a fact because we saw it earlier. But it vanished, didn't it, Mike?
Did indeed.
Do you think Jonathan had anything to do with it? I don't know. No idea what's going on here. But hello, good evening and welcome to each and every one of you. So we have Kim, we have Alex, we have Debbie S. Hello, Carol. Who else have we got? Hello, Graham. Good evening to you. How is the weather down with you? Hello, Jonathan. Did you manage a nap today, Jonathan, before we start? Important questions here. Hello, John and Mrs. John, who's usually with John. Who else have we got? Keep going, keep going. Hello, Tony. Oh, you flummoxed Mike with the mail. Actually, it's the system, isn't it, that's flummoxed all of us?
It is the system.
Mike will explain at some point. Hello, Peter. And hello, Annie. I think we're all there. All present and correct, I do believe. Excellent. Right, I'm going to have to do some magic stuff here now, aren't I? So I can see everything. I've had a bit of a technology stressing week, I think is the best way to explain it. Obviously, it involved Mike. It usually does. But it wasn't all you, was it, dear?
I don't know.
No, it wasn't. Trust me, it wasn't. Right, I'm going to press some buttons.
Most of it was me.
No, you make me smile. Why is that moved on to that? That's not what I want at all. That's what I want. Right, and once I've done that, that should happen and then we can be good to go. Excellent. Not much in the way of long-winded slides tonight. No, we'll have lots of demos. So, we'll get going, shall we?
Kim wants to know if Johnny performed some hanky-panky.
With what?
With her first in.
Yes, that it's disappeared.
Does hanky-panky mean the same in the UK?
I'm seriously hoping not.
US?
No, I'll leave you to explain to Kim what that means in the UK. Idioms are so tricky, aren't they?
They are.
Right. So, what have we got today? Doesn't look like much, trust me. Oh, it's going to be amazing. We have got smart objects. I'll just let that sit for a while. Smart objects. And more in Affinity Photo. Mike is extracting different content this week from his toys. This time it's content from an email body. Do you ever actually add anything up in Excel, or is it all just magic?
It's magic. Magic beans.
Magic beans with Magic Mike in Magic Excel. There you go.
Magic
Can't say
Mike.
fine. Yes, Magic Mike. Then we're on to part 3 of our learning management system, where I'm going to try and continue with it whilst addressing all the questions that Sarah had. And then, subject to the technology.
Sarah's eating burger and chips.
Oh, I'm
very jealous.
What happened was, you couldn't make this stuff up, my A-Lady device, my Echo, suddenly started showing me recipes from the BBC. Well, obviously, when it's like vegan couscous, less than interested. Let's just say that. Less than interested. But it put up beer-battered cod and chips the other night. Been craving them ever since. I'm going to have to work out how to disable it, but I didn't ask for it, it just appeared. Right, before we get going,
Johnny's
make sure.
Getting giddy.
Why is he getting giddy?
Smart objects.
Smart objects. Oh, smart objects, Jonathan. Don't fall asleep until we've done the smart objects. Oh, and another thing, meant to mention at the beginning. While you're sorting yourself out to be 1080p. What are you this week, Mike? Who's the lowest this week? I had one the other day and I thought...
I'm 1080p.
Oh, you're all right then. I had one the other day and it was 360 and I thought, this is bad. And then when I looked at the list, there was 1080p at 60 frames a second. What were they thinking? You know, I'm on a really good connection. What were they thinking? Yes, Jonathan, you've got to make it till the end at some point. We have a sneak peek, early reveal of something that nobody knows about yet, which is Affinity related. Let's just say that. Right, and while you're setting yourself down there, find anything useful, give us a like. It really makes a difference with YouTube. They like likes. I like likes. We all like likes.
Debbie's on 480.
Oh, I mean, literally, that's like 25%, isn't it? What is wrong with YouTube? What did we get up to this week? Well, usual chaos on a Saturday. Only did 8 shows this week, but one was a long show. And we've got some fantastic shows coming up, like a special show for Spandau Ballet's 40th anniversary. I could have sworn it'd be 20, but no, 40. I'm happy to say when they did start out, I was still at school. So that's a bit of a relief. Jonathan, however, was -9. Yeah, not good, not good. Then, of course, we did Marooned. And then 8 o'clock came and chaos reigned, as it always does. We had fun this week in By Request. It was a theme of fruit. Which I must admit, when I suggested it to Mike, thought, well, I can think of like 5. We were sorted out all night. There were so many with fruit. It was unbelievable. Some of them were a bit on the tenuous side, weren't they, Mike?
They were.
But not all of them. And well, I think we'd only just got going when Asda arrived. So Mike dealt with them. And it was a grand night, which took us through to Sunday. We were a bit tired on Sunday, weren't we? So not much happened on Sunday. We were exhausted. But there was a football match and somebody was a smidgen on the nervy side. But fear not. Came through for you, didn't they, Mike? But they scored first, United. And then Newcastle equalised. Well, that set Mike off. He doesn't like that. That's bad. So I had to suffer for the whole of the first half after they equalised and about 20 minutes into the second half before United pulled another one ahead. And then there was a penalty, so he was then a happy boy. I then headed off to my book club, where you're probably aware by now, I'm trying to do 2 books, which is The Culture Code, which actually was on offer this week, 99p. That was handy. And How to Take Smart Notes, which is just awesome. So we're going to have a session on Smart Notes soon, when it's finished. And it's not finished till the middle of March. Then we were on to Monday. I don't know why I do this to myself. In fact, I don't think I'm going to say here I did not do this to myself. It did it to me. We have a thing here at MacBites with the podcast of a MacBites marathon. Now, what's a MacBites marathon? Glad you asked. A MacBites marathon is where you listen to every episode there has ever been of MacBites. Don't panic, there's only been 135. 136 with the iKettle at some point, but 135. We know several people who have done this, some of them more than once. But a new marathon to the family is the Marooned at MacBites HQ marathon. Much trickier. Because to date, how many, Mike? 348. Was it 7? No, 8. 348. So, I got a little bit lax, I'll be honest with you, at Christmas. Got a little bit behind. So I've been publishing them little by little. But Tracy is in the middle of her Marooned at MacBites headquarters marathon and was catching up with me and needed more shows. How difficult could it be, I thought? I'll just stick another 6 up. It'll be fine. Yeah. This is not good. This is Feeder, which is supposed to look after our feed, our RSS feed. And there was a new version out. And I said to Mike, it looks like they've added iCloud as an option. Oh, silly me. Take the words as an option and bin them. They've added iCloud. You either use iCloud or nothing. I thought, darn it. So I thought, right, I'll write to them and I'll say, can I not use Dropbox like I've been doing for the last 15 years and everything's been fine? Can I not do that? And then I thought, you know what, just go with it. Don't be awkward. If they've moved to iCloud, they've moved to iCloud, so use iCloud. Yeah, that's when that happened. I thought, it'll sync itself in the end. Yeah, then it got worse. It couldn't publish, you can see in the middle there. Then it said it couldn't save. It was preparing to save. Then it cancelled. And this went on for hours and hours. Not even joking. And then the little Billy do at the bottom. iCloud's currently offline. No changes are going to be sent or received. Would you like to take iCloud online? Can you imagine what I said? Yeah, that was what I said. So I thought, do you know what? We'll shut it down and we'll start again. When in doubt, turn it off and on again and it'll be fine. It wasn't fine. It was error message after error message after error message. What it was doing, Apple had changed the syntax of the feed. So Feeder had updated the feeds and then needed to save, pull them down from iCloud, write to them and then send them back to iCloud. I can only imagine if you have more feeds than we do. We have 5. And it took 16 hours to sort itself out. Yeah, that's what I said. When I sorted that out, that happened. Apparently, this error wasn't the same error as the other errors. Oh no, we have different flavours of errors here. So Monday ended pretty much like that, which took us to Tuesday. This was when overnight I left it alone. I also left a billy do for Mike in Slack. It was very politely worded, but basically fix it. That was the short version, which was when Mike said, they've upgraded the hosting. And yeah, I did get a mail about that. I hadn't forwarded it to Mike, which I should have done because he deals with that. Hosting upgrade. Yay! What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, look. The small print. Yeah, that. Which was, this could break every FTP you've got. You might need to check your accounts. Check them. Check all 300 of them. Oh, yeah. So that was Tuesday gone. Monday messing with it. Tuesday fixing it. Which annoys me. Because by Wednesday, that's when I start to get busy. So Monday and Tuesday are my preferred days for playtime. I didn't get any playtime. And I'm grumpy when I get no playtime. However, somebody was less concerned about that and still testing her bed out. She's worked out the most comfortable position, and it's that one. Head's on there, chicken nearby, feet on my box. She's fine. She's. In fact, there's more, but there's 3 boxes over there, and her feet were across all of them. And then she could also get in the drawers. Sadly, those drawers, not the drawers with her treats in. They're on the other side. But she was a happy little dog. Thursday, oh pressure, again. He's very grumpy with the football. Very, very grumpy. But this one shouldn't have been such a stress, should it, Mike? Given that they'd already won the first leg, and this was the return match. Play to win, they said. Ended up 0-0. However, there was a goal, wasn't there?
There was.
It was disallowed. It was VAR'd and disallowed. But on the upside, Mike has now learned how to spell Sociedad, haven't you? I blame somebody else who put that in the calendar. I don't blame you at all. There's me correcting Mike on something Spanish. Where's Tracy? Which took us on to
Martha
Friday.
loves the pictures of Lola.
Oh, good. She's lovely, isn't she? She's got such a sweet nature. She really has. Now, you know MacBites headquarters is in a little bubble of strangeness, like the Midwich Cuckoos. Or where else would be strange? Yeah, strange. First of all, if you remember, there was Bollardgate. This went on for months, as the lamppost got knocked over and 2 bollards were taken with it. That's the view from the office window. Or it was when they were fixing the bollards, which took them about 6 months. So, strange. And then every night you think, oh, what was that thud? Has somebody hit the bollard again? Once we'd sorted that out, the little traffic island that lives in the middle of Land of the Strange, which is where we live, you may remember Chicken Gate. Or Frozen Chicken Gate, as we were calling it. Oh yeah, that Mike found while out with Lola. Sat on the wall of the local pub at 5 o'clock in the morning. Not to be outdone the week later, because this was only the start. A week later, it had brethren. Now, it didn't look like it was in a state to breed, but there were 2 frozen chickens, one on the wall and one on the pavement. So I'm keying you up here for understanding how weird it is round here. What could possibly have happened this morning? Mike took Lola for a walk. Again, stupid o'clock. Yes, there's a washing machine outside somebody's house. Not even on the path. It's on the pavement. Lola was clearly investigating to see if she could find the chicken or its brethren. But no, there was no frozen chicken, was there, Mike?
No.
Just a washing machine.
Yeah, I'll tell you the full story of that. We're walking along about 6 o'clock this morning, and she decided she'd stick her head inside the washing machine. And because I've got a bag of poo in one hand, I didn't have my phone in the other. So by the time I thought, photo opportunity here for the week at MacBites headquarters, I had to put the bag of poo down on the wall, and then I had to go and get Lola to redo the photo opportunity. I said, come here, stick your head in there. Pretend you're looking in it.
As you know, I'm only thankful having taught her to do that trick. Don't panic, no dog was harmed in the photo shoot.
Yeah, you can see the shadow of me.
Our washing machine is in the garage under lock and key, so she's never likely to do that in reality. Don't worry about it. There was no door on that, though. Somebody had actually stolen the door, but not the washer. So you get the idea for how weird it is around here. So tonight, we've had the Tesco delivery. No, I think Wendy's retired. And, of course, it's Two-Show Friday. But most exciting of all for young Jonathan, the 2 words, smart objects in Affinity Photo. Oh, is he going to be a happy boy at the end of this? Let me know. Right, what I'm going to do is come out of there and get going with this. Now I can see the chat again. Whee! Peter, you're not wrong. Manchester's garden ornament. There you go. He's just absolutely insane that the trouble that Mike gets himself into here. Right, I'm going to open Bridge.
Led astray by Lola.
It wasn't Lola's fault. Be honest, it was not Lola's fault. Right, I'm going to open a file, which is a file. I'll bring it on so you can see it. Here we go. So I've got some smart objects in here. I've got loads of them. So here's my smart objects. I've got straight on iPads, perspectives, clones. I've got all sorts. But I'm going to use this one to show you what a smart object is in Photoshop. Now, don't panic. It's Photoshop. I'm not going to be spending long in Photoshop. I'm just going to show you what a smart object is in Photoshop. Yes, those flamingos are very dodgy, aren't they? Right, so, and young Jonathan's going to play along here, aren't you? Right, a smart object is something that is in a file that you can edit in a really easy way without getting deep down and dirty into how it actually is, where it is in the image. So the bit we're looking at here is the blue bit. So you can see it says iPad Pro Mockups. We would much, much prefer, of course, that had our iPad screen on it. But you've got the hands and you've got the blue bit, and that might be tricky. So that's why you have over here, let's take that up a bit, you have smart objects. So if we look at this file, we've got a couple of things that are turned off. There is a brightness adjustment that's turned off. We do have your screen here, and that is actually turned off. It doesn't make a difference whether it's turned on or off. Then you've got the other layers, which are all linked together. You've got the finger, so we could actually turn the finger off. See the finger over the top of the pen? We've got the entire pencil, so there's the pencil. So you can see how it's been put together. That's the whole right hand, there's the whole left hand. And down here we've actually got all of the things that are needed to make this look normal, look natural, look as though it was a photograph that was taken and not something that you've actually mocked up. So you can turn these on, get different effects with it. Whether you need them or not really depends on what you put in the smart object. Right, so that's what we've got in the file. And the way it works in Photoshop couldn't be easier. It says your screen here, and there is a little symbol there. And that tells you that that is the smart object, that if you change that, you will change what's in here. So if I double click that, it opens up what we are actually seeing. So anything that's in here will ripple through to here, but it will be in complete context with the iPad. So not just a blue square. But I think most of us could probably manage to edit the blue square, couldn't we? If we couldn't do anything else, we could probably put some brush strokes on it or something. But obviously what we actually would like is our iPad. So I took the liberty of taking some screenshots. So I'll show you what I've got. I have got here just PNGs. They were screenshots that I've taken of the new splash screens for the Affinity app. So I have a horizontal and a vertical for both photo and designer. And those are the ones that I'm going to be using. So let's drag that out of the way. Which should we do first? Let's do designer because it's nice and bright. So all I'm doing is dragging and dropping that image. Now, iPads are now in 3 million different sizes and ratios and all kinds of stuff. So it's a little bit too narrow. But all I need to do is stretch that out. Now, if I do that, you can see I'm losing the top and bottom as well. But if I hold the Shift key down and do it, it's fine. That's the total opposite way to the way it used to be. Adobe just changed their mind. Now, what I need to do, we don't need to see the text. We don't want that text over the top. Or I could just drag that to the top. This is a totally separate file. If you look at the extension up there, it is a PSB file. It's an embedded file. All I need to do, though, is to save it, close that down, and auto-magically we have our screenshot that was literally, I didn't do anything special with it. There's no cropping, there's no masking, nothing. I just dragged and dropped it in, and because it's a smart object, it automatically works. Now that looks a little bit dull around the colour there, which could be what was in here with all of the optional colours. Where was it? It was in the editable one, I do believe. So if we wanted, like we got that the vibrance is actually turned on and it does make it a bit more vibrant, but we might want to warm it up a bit. That does warm it up. I'm going to brighten it a bit. So this is what you can do. Whether you need those or not depends on the image that you're putting on the iPad. So for some images, you'll turn them off. For others, you'll leave them turned on. But that is what you do in Photoshop. And for young Jonathan, let me know, Jonathan, is this the Holy Grail? Is this the last bastion of, Photoshop, cos smart objects? Let me know. Right, what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to save any of that, so not saving it. It's going away, and I don't need ever to see Photoshop again. Away you go. Right, bye-bye. Right, what I'm going to do this time is go into Affinity Photo. This is it. Oh, young Jonathan. Oh, my Jonathan. Oh, I think this could probably... This might... Well, I've got about 4 or 5 different demos. So let's see how we go with that. Right, first off, I'm going to show you what happens, and I'm sure Jonathan's tried this. If you decide that you are going to open a file with smart objects in Affinity. So we'll use exactly the same one. We'll use the one with the hands. So here's the one with the hands. I'm just dragging and dropping it into there, and it will open it. Now, Affinity Photo has no problem whatsoever opening the file. It's a Photoshop file, but it will open it and it looks grand. Everything is there. So we've got the brightness that we had before, not turned on. We've got your screen here, not turned on.
Dr. Mike wants to know if he's missed what you did with smart objects.
Just explaining it, Dr. Mike. Perfect timing, if I do say so myself. Excellent timing. So I've just opened a Photoshop file and it's got smart objects in it. So I'm just taking you through what you get when you open this Photoshop file, because this is the one we're going to be working on. We have the finger. So we had the finger again. There's the finger. And we've got the pencil, the right hand, the left hand, and we have the editable screen, together with all the other bits and pieces. Now, your screen here, that was the smart object, and there's nothing there. It doesn't understand it. It's ignoring it. We do have the screen that's editable down there, and there is a screen holder in it, and all of the stuff has come through. The options, the brightness, the cold filter, the warm filter, all of those came through, just not the shape. Kim says, a stupid question, why can't I see the chat here, Mike? I can only see half of it. I'll just widen this a bit, see if I can see the other. There we go. How do I know if this is a smart object to download it? Right, well, I will show you. Shall we do that bit now? Here we go. Let me bring on a browser. Right. If I go somewhere like Elements at Envato and I look for a mock-up for something, and it could be anything, could be an iPad, could be postcards, anything like that. Any of these mock-ups in here where it says graphics templates, right? It will tell you if it's got a smart object in it or not. So let's just click on that one. It says mock-up, and as we go down here, it should tell us. In fact, let me find that one. I think I looked for iPad Pro. There we go. Let's see if we can find the one I actually downloaded. Clearly not. Clearly not. Right, that's okay. I can get the link from over here. So let me just get the link. There's the link. Shelves. There it is. Now, where on earth have you opened that? Oh, you haven't opened that. You want me to copy and paste it. Oh, how prehistoric. Okay, I will put that in here. This is the one that I'm actually using. And it will tell you. So all of the information down here, fast editing via smart objects. Oh, Dr. Mike has accumulated a lot of text effects made with smart objects. Before Affinity, so dumb as a box of rocks. Not now. Not now. Okay. So it will tell you if it's a smart object, but the other way to work it out, I will show you in a second, Kim. Can't show you just at this moment, but I will do. Normally it tells you, because it's such a benefit to you working with it, that they're falling over themselves to tell you that it's a smart object. Right, so we do have our screen. That is down there, but you can see it's pixels. So one way of working with it in Affinity, which is like the heathen way of doing it, it's not too tricky, that one. You could kind of put an image on there and then fiddle with it. So do it the manual way. But we don't want to do that, do we? So I'm going to show you first of all how the majority of you will probably want to work with this, which is you don't care how it works, you just want it to work. Then I'll move on to how to actually create your own. And then you can create your own and we'll take it right through to making a template with it. But that's what we've got, and it's not much use to us unless you're going to sit and manually fiddle with it. Now, I could show you the manually fiddling with it. So here's an image, which it doesn't seem to want to put in there. Are you thinking about it? Come on, I did update you, so don't get upset with me. Right, there is a pixel-based image. It's just a PNG. What I'm going to do with it, I will copy that and I will paste it into... Oh dear, that's definitely not what we want, is it? I will paste that into here. So let's try doing that. Right, so it's just pasted it in. Then what you would need to do with it, I'm sure Jonathan's tried all of this, is this to get it in virtually the right place. And then be scaling it in virtually the right bit there. I know you've got a problem with the hands, but we've also discussed the stacking order. And if we put it under the hands, that's not bad. It's not perfect. We've got some square bits overhanging here and things, but it's not bad. It works with that one, give or take, but only because it's actually fairly simple and the file itself would allow you to do that. But what you've brought in is pixels, and you then have to start fiddling with where it is to make it work properly. That is not a smart object. What's the difference? Well, if I suddenly decide, yeah, that's fine, but I actually want this one in here, which is the photo one, then I have to start again. I have to start rotating it, and I have to start making sure it's just right and sizing it and generally fiddling with it, right? So it doesn't look bad, but there are better ways to do it. Kim says she's been doing it manually for years. Your life's about to change. Okay, so that's what it does. So I'm just showing you the manual way. We're not going to worry about that. But I've opened up this Photoshop file, and we've already seen there are smart objects in it. Only Affinity Photo is ignoring them. Right, what we're going to do. Close that down. Again, we don't need to save it. We don't need that one open either. What we need to do, Jonathan, are you taking notes, is go in to the preferences. Now, the preferences, we have a whole range of preferences, but the first one is general. Let's click on general. And let's look at that there that says import Photoshop smart objects where possible. Now, some of them are going to be more advanced. Some of them are going to be use features that Affinity Photo doesn't as yet support. But the majority may well work nicely. So we'll put a tick in that box and we'll OK it. And then we'll open up exactly the same file that we had open before. So open recent. That wasn't the one. that wasn't the one. It was the one before that. That one there. Number 5. Difference this time. It looks suspiciously the same, doesn't it? Very, very similar. All the ticks are the same. There's a difference though. This one here, your screen here, has a perspective on it. It also says it's an embedded document. You can't quite read all of that, but if we widen it, it's an embedded document. A smart object is an embedded document within a file. So if you're in Photoshop, a smart object is a Photoshop file inside a Photoshop file. I have no idea why this isn't ticked by default, Jonathan. To play with your mind. I can't imagine who wouldn't want a smart object brought in as a smart object. So it doesn't really make sense that it's not, but it's not. But what it brings in is an embedded file. But how it translates that so you can work with it in Affinity Photo is instead of it saying it's a smart object, it has a perspective applied to it. So if I double click on that, it takes you out to exactly what we had in Photoshop. A file that was embedded in the first file we were working with, that's straight on. We don't have to worry about the perspective or anything else. And what we can do in here is drag that in. Now it's opened it up, so I'm going to copy it. Where have you disappeared to? Right, and paste it in there. Then all I need to do is exactly the same as you would do in Photoshop, which is get that to the right size. So I'll put it in the middle. And then I'll stretch it sideways because, you know, these iPads. I took that on my 11-inch. Clearly the one behind is not an 11-inch iPad. But save that. And you're done. Oh, young Jonathan, I knew he'd be happy. I knew he'd be a happy bunny. Now, beauty of that is you can go in here and then make other changes to it. So if we look, that's the editable one. It looks like it's blue, but when we look at that, it's actually got our screen on it. And it has all of the other options that were there that we can then turn on and off if we want really lurid colours. Really bright. There you go. Could you embed any other format other than pixel format? It's just a photo file. So you can embed whatever you like. Kim says, I take my mesh tool will be getting less work. Well, you could. Oh, Dr. Mike, honestly, you've got one thing and then the minute you get one, you want another. It does have recording and macros in it already. So nothing to stop you making your own. Right, so that was easy, wasn't it? Beauty of that is, so we can leave all of that alone now we've made the colours really lurid. Obviously, the benefit of this, as opposed to the manual way, when I brought this in and I put it there and I scaled and sized and fiddled with it, rotated it, I said that's okay. It doesn't actually look much different to that. Here's where it's a huge time saver. Now I want one for the Affinity Photo iPad screen. So I drag and drop that in. That's there. Right, I'm going to cut that from there. I am going to double click on the Your Screen here and paste it and then get it in the right place. I am not doing all of the manual work that I had to do last time. So all I need to do is get that in the middle, stretch it out sideways to fit, save that file, close it, boom, it's all updated. So that's the beauty of it. You do the work once. Now, sometimes you don't even have to do the work once because this one, I just downloaded it. And it is still a Photoshop file, but it has translated the smart objects into a format that Affinity Photo understands. Which means that if you've got something like that, I'm assuming Jonathan's got a huge library of these things, you can use that on any one that you want to use it on. But what if you don't have Photoshop? Oh, Jonathan's wide awake, have you noticed? I think I'm going to lose myself a point tonight because he's wide awake. That is great as far as it goes, but obviously this was created in Photoshop. And as soon as you see how fabulous that is, you're going to want to do it for yourself, aren't you? How about you could create smart objects in Affinity Photo? How about that, Jonathan? Would that be a good idea? Right, let's come out of there. We don't need to save that one. What if you were doing it from scratch? So I'm going to go back to my data and I'm going to start with a really simple one. Couldn't be any simpler. It is a Photoshop file. Let's try that one. It is a Photoshop file and there is a group in there. There's the device, there's the shadow and all the rest of it. And it says place your diagram here. So because I've ticked that box, it's actually come through correctly. It wouldn't matter whether it did or not though, would it? Because look at it. It's really simple. It doesn't get much more simple than that. So I'm going to drag my horizontal one in there and copy that. And then back in here where it says place your design, you can either go into it and place your design. So this is exactly what we did in the other one. I'm just making sure that the stacking order's okay. And like I say, the issue with the size of these screenshots is that mine were taken on an 11 and the other ones clearly weren't. But you know, you don't notice that much if you don't go too far down. Save, close, back we go, and it's fine. But, you know, if what you wanted was to create like an export from here, it would be just as simple, wouldn't it? To grab hold of this. So I've copied it. And I'm going to paste it in there. And because it's straight on and it doesn't need anything magic, you may be tempted to just kind of do that and stretch it down and call it done. And looking at it, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever at all. But you're going to want to think about even the simple ones because you can create templates from them. And the more complicated ones, you're going to need to know how to do it properly anyway. But sometimes, well, you know, when I very first got hold of Affinity Photo and it didn't have anything like this, I thought, when I'm looking for mock-ups, I thought, I'll just look for a straight on one because I can't be doing with going into Photoshop. That was literally it. I can't be doing with going into Photoshop. So I picked an easy one like that, but we don't always want the easy ones, do we? So I'm going to move on to a more complicated one and show you how to do this manually and then convert it. Okay, so we're coming out of that one. I'm going to have a look at a totally different file. Ah, young Jonathan, he's amazed. We do like it when Jonathan's amazed, don't we?
We do.
Right, this is another mock-up. It's a Photoshop file. I won't bother opening it in Photoshop because we're so far beyond Photoshop now, aren't we? But in essence, you get exactly the same. So over here, we have 3 layers. We have the Your Design here, but this time it's slightly different. It doesn't say embed, it says group. That's because there are 2 screens. There's the landscape one and there's the portrait one. And that's actually coming with it. Then on here you have the, let me turn these off, although there's not actually much there. But if we turn the landscape one off, you can see it's actually the iPad. So the background of it is in where it says edition. That's just where I've downloaded it from. And also a table. Now it's in midair. In fact, with that, it actually looks like it's on a white table. You can go into here and even the table has got adjustments and colours and shadows. But in essence, everything in that file is editable to some degree or another. So I'll show you just using it in here, right? So in here, we'll go into it, it opens it up. There's nothing in there at the moment. but we will use the screenshots that I've been using, these iPad screens. That one is horizontal, so let's put that one in there and scale that up. So this is doing it the Photoshop way. This is doing it, now it can read it. All I'm going to do is do it properly, okay, using what's already there. So we'll save that, go back to the original, and we can see we've got our iPad screen over here. The next thing to do is to double click on the next one, which is the portrait one, and this time we'll bring in the Affinity photo one and put that in place. Right, stretch that, stretch it across, and save, and then close the embedded file. So what we've actually got here is the file we're working with is 1.psd. It's one single file. In it, it has two other files embedded in it, and they are just the pixels for the screenshots. So one for Affinity Designer, one for Affinity Photo. Now, on this one, there is in here extra bits, like this says an adjustment there, and it's actually, if we zoom in over here, that adjustment is giving it the light on it. And you'd have exactly the same over here. You can see that one far better because it's much darker. Okay. Now, I'm showing you this just so you can see all the bits and pieces that are needed to make it work together. So there's that one, toggle that one on and off. Right, but what if you had a photograph? So are we all okay with that? Is Jonathan on the smelling salts? Right, we are all okay with that. That is when you have downloaded, purchased, or got a free mock-up, and it's already set up and configured for you. And somebody will have done that in Photoshop. But what if you've got a photograph that you've taken and you would like to put that on there, and you have no way of making the Photoshop Smart Object in the first place? And that is where the next bit comes in. So let's just imagine in here where it says your design here, and we've got these two embedded documents. Let's pretend that we don't. Okay, let's pretend that they are not there. So what I'm going to do in here, he's down for the count. Poor Jonathan. Right, we need to find in here, I do think it's that one. Okay, so that is where that's turned on, embedded, etc. Right, so I don't really want to turn the whole iPad off. I just want to turn off this bit. And I could even delete it. I'm just going to pretend it's not there. Right, so let's go get the landscape one and do exactly the same. Okay, so that now looks maybe something like a photograph that you have taken of your own. And you only have Affinity Photo and you wish you could make smart objects. Now, first thing I'm going to do, because I wouldn't do it the way they've done it, I would get rid of more of this. I would get rid of the refraction on it as well. The specular highlight there, I would get rid of that. Right, so it literally now looks like either a 3D render of two iPads or a photograph that you have taken. Now, this is a 3D render, which gives us a little bit more wiggle room as we start working with it. Okay, but what I'm going to do now is recreate that. Recreate the smart object, but totally in Affinity Photo. Right, first thing I need to do that. I need to bring in my image. So the first thing I'm going to do, we will have the designer one. So we'll bring that in. Right. Keeps going back to there. Now you may be tempted, right, to start working on it and start making it smaller, etc. Don't. That's not what we need to do at all. So I've got my file over here. So I'm working in Bridge, just purely for convenience, right? So I'm going to open this up, but I'm going to open it with, obviously, it's Bridge. So it wants to open everything with Photoshop, but I'm just going to open the PNG, open my screenshot in Affinity Photo. And for speed, if I take both of them and open them both with Affinity Photo, they should open in the background. So there's my vertical one. And there's my horizontal one. Right. What I'm going to do with them, rather than leave them as PNGs, is I'm going to save these as Affinity photo files. So we'll do a save as. I'll put them on the desktop, right? Affinity Designer Vertical. And hopefully that saved it in the right format. Let's get rid of that. It did indeed, Affinity Photo. Okay, so there's our vertical one. And here's our horizontal one. So do a save as with that as well. And away we go. Okay. Now this isn't going to look great when I first do it, but we'll explain. So I'm closing those files down. Instead of dragging and dropping in pixels, what you need to do is go to File, Place. Then choose one, doesn't matter which in this circumstance. And it has changed the mouse pointer, and I can click to add that. Now obviously it's far too big, it's huge. So what I'm going to do is zoom out, so find the edges of it and scale it down. Now I actually want it quite tiny so I can see it on here. If I try that in Bridge, it opens it in Publisher. Yeah, Bridge needs a little bit of help sometimes. Right, so what I'm going to do with this... Oh, is she back in here?
She decided to come in.
Okay, you settle down, girl. Everybody thinks you're gorgeous, so you settle down there. Right, so I've made this small enough so I can actually see what I'm doing with it and move it around. And I'll be able to do a fairly decent job, but the nuances will be missing. So, I need this to appear over here. So obviously, I can't just rotate this one and stretch it and stuff because it's skewed. There's a perspective on this. So what I will do with it is go to Layer and go down to Live Filter Layer, Distort, Perspective. Live Filter Layer, Distort, Perspective. Okay, that changes the corners. And then I just need to drag that down into position here, like this. But you should be screaming at me that this isn't going to work properly. Right, let's get that out of the way. So all I'm doing is pinning the corners. Right, then I'll just click away, select something else. Not bad, no t-shirt. Doesn't look bad because it's black. But as we zoom in, we've got problems. So... back up here and double click. No, not double click. I did not want to double click that. No, I wanted to go there and double click on the perspective, which will reactivate this. And the problem I've got is it needs to be rounded, and it's not. It's square because it's a screenshot. So there's a problem. That's the main problem with this at the moment. Obviously, you can see I'm a mile out here. But once you zoom in, you can do that. And if if you don't mind, it doesn't have the rounded corners, then you're good to go. Just sort that out. Cover up this so you don't have an odd edge, and you'd get away with it. But that's not good enough for us, is it? No, no, no. That's definitely not good enough. How could we round the corners easily? Yeah, it's a bit tricky, isn't it? Oh, yeah, I might have to fiddle. No, you don't have to fiddle at all. Right, all you need to do, there's two things to double click on here. Double clicking on the perspective, the live layer, takes you in and enables you to move this. But double clicking on the thumbnail of the actual embedded file takes you into the embedded file. How can I round the corners now? Is that easy? Maybe, maybe not. It's Affinity Photo, of course, it's easy. Right, I'm going to go in here and I want a rounded rectangle. And then I want to put a rounded rectangle on the top of it. I know it doesn't look good at the minute. Oh, keep the faith. Right, make sure it touches all the edges. And this little red doohickey here will enable you to alter the rounding. So you can take it all the way up here to square, or all the way down there. Now, you're trying to replicate that dark bit there that is very dark. You might not even be able to see it. So take it up until it looks like that. Now, I appreciate at this point, yeah, now we've got rounded corners, but we can't see the image. But you should know that this rounded rectangle can act as a mask if we clip the background inside it. So let's clip the background inside it. And now it's got rounded corners. And the rounded corners that are in the embedded file will ripple through. So if we go back over here and have a look, we now actually have rounded corners. So just for making sure, I'm going to save that and close it down and come back in and start editing the perspective. And now you can see I have rounded corners. So I can just cover that up, make sure that each one is right, because I'm sure I was a mile out with some of them. There we go. Down a bit. That one was terrible. So let's move that across there. And fix the top one, and we're done. So actually, the rounding could be a little bit more round, I think. But let's have a look at that. I reckon that's going to look okay. There we go. So I'm going to repeat that process with the second one. So if you missed all the options, fear not. I'm going to go into it. Right. I think I even had the file, didn't I? So it's that we embedded a file, the horizontal one. We're now going to go for the vertical one. So from the top, File, Place. This time it's the vertical one. And that loads it into your cursor. Well, all you need to do is click once. Then I'm going to zoom it right out so I can see the edges and scale it right down. I know it is, Jonathan. Isn't it fabulous? It gets better than that. Right, so I've got that in there. At the moment, it's got the square corners. So I actually have a fast way to do that as well. Making sure that this one was correct. So this one here, if this one was correct, then that rounded rectangle that we've got there, we should actually be able to transfer that. So we've got our embedded file. Now we're in the embedded file. Now with this one, I don't want the image. So I'm taking the image away. That brings back this. And then all I would need to do is rotate that 90 degrees and put it into place. And it now matches perfectly the other corner. So it's not guesswork. It matches the other one perfectly. I need to drag that inside it to clip it. And that gives us the corners, and they are actually transparent because you can see the checkerboard transparency there. Okay, that was fast, wasn't it? So we've done the designer one. We've got the rounded corners. We can see that on here. We just need to get it in the right place. And that was making sure you're on the embedded document. Go to Layer, Live Filter Layer, Distort, Perspective. And then drag these corners to the right place. Now what I'll do this time, instead of coming out and then going back in, I'll do the whole lot by just roughly placing it and then zooming in. And I want that one a little bit further out there so it covers that. Down to the other one down here. It's a good job I've got this mouse, isn't it? Or I'd be all over the place. Put that so it just covers that bit. 2 more corners to go. Oh, that one's pretty perfect, isn't it? Almost there. This needs to be a bit wider. And the one at the top, which is a mile out. I've got the dulcet tones of the dog licking her paws here.
She is licking her paws.
She's actually licking the bed, I think. There must be a crumb on it. There we go. So let's zoom out to that, and we've got that in place. So it looks almost as good as the other one, but there's something missing. And I would put this, you could do this in one of 2 ways, but personally speaking, I would embed this in the file that's embedded. And what's missing is we don't have the snazzy triangle where you've got the light reflecting off it. Now, if you do that in here, then that's great. It would work, but where's the mask with the corner rounding on it? That's not in here. So we'll try one on this vertical one first, and we will go into the file. Right, we have in our vector shapes a triangle tool. The easiest way to do this, when you draw the triangle, you get this. And you can pull that to the left or the right, and you might be tempted to take it here and then rotate it. But if you do, you're then going to have to flip it. So the easiest way is to make that a right angle triangle and then rotate it. You hold the shift key down, it will rotate it in increments. Then I need the V key to move it, and I want the refraction up there. Obviously that's a little bit too much, isn't it? But there are things that you can do with it. So you could just change the opacity, or you could change the blend mode. So in this case, you don't want to darken it because that will show you all the darker pixels. The light options will show you all of the light pixels, so far not good. But overlay or soft light work quite nicely. Now, overlay looks a little bit too much, but I would alter the percentage. Soft light's quite nice to start with, and if I mix soft light with a 50% effect, that's pretty decent. That gives me what I want. Now, will that work? Well, it looks pretty decent, doesn't it? It looks okay. Right, I'm going to save that. Let's go and have a look at it. Good, but no t-shirt, because we've not put it under the mask. So that bit not masked. So if we go back to the embedded file here, instead of having it sitting squarely on top of the mask and the contents, if we move it inside, it will be clipped to it. So if we go back, you can see it's gone now. But as we look here, it is applying. You can see the difference there. So it is actually working. That's my preferred way of doing it, rather than have the refraction in here, because then I'd need another mask and the masks would have to match, and I've already got a mask, so why don't I just put it in there? Same principle with the other one, exactly. So get the triangle, put that in again, drag to the right, rotate it round, V key to move it, put it up there. I put on a soft light at 50% there, and then moved it inside the clipping, so it's clipped to it. That one could do maybe with being at 40% because it's much, much darker. So I might be tempted to change that down to 40%. Save it, and come out of there, and it's applied. There it is. We can see it down at the bottom. In fact, you can see it all the way there, can't you? Okay. Right, that's good as far as it goes, isn't it? That is now a smart object enabled file that started life in Affinity Photo, because we are not using all of these options. We've turned off all of the stuff that came from Photoshop. If I turn off these two at the top and we go back to this came with Photoshop and all of the rest of it, and there was this one that came with Photoshop. Literally, the fact they are from Photoshop, you can just delete them. You don't need them anymore. So if you don't have access to Photoshop to create these things, you can fully create them in Affinity Photo with Affinity Photo tools and techniques with no need for Photoshop. Now, the way this one was designed is quite interesting because it has a background and it has a colour fill, which is white. Now, you have in Affinity Photo a layer type of fill layer. So if I put a new fill layer in, it fills it with the colour that's selected, which at the moment is white. So we have a white background. There's very little difference between the two, a couple of shades off, but very little difference between the two. But what you can do is have as many of these as you want. So I'm going to Command J, Command J. And what that gives me is 3 alternate background colours. So I'm going to start with the top one, and all I'm going to do in the colour palette up here, the colour panel, is just start to move stuff. So I quite liked a lilac-y colour, and that's not like me. So there's a lilac-y one. Turn that one off and go to the next one. Let's say we want something much brighter for spring. Then I've got a lemony one. And then in this one here, let's say I've gone all masculine. And I want kind of a grey colour. Although grey is quite in at the moment, isn't it? Grey is, but not that grey. We want it kind of a lighter grey, like that. There you go. Oh, Kim does this often. And Jonathan's, I knew you'd be giddy, Jonathan.
I've just seen that.
Oh, I do like to make Jonathan happy on a Friday night. Can't say fairer than that, can you, Jonathan? Okay, so you've got all these colour options, and you can just toggle them on and off. So if you want the lemon one on, you don't even have to turn the ones off that are below. And you can just keep adding options. And the beauty of this is, of course, you can have all of these options there ready. So I can literally duplicate as many of these as I want. You know what we need here, don't you, Mike?
What?
Dusky peach.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely need a dusky
peach.
Which was, let me have a look, what would dusky peach be? That's a little bit pinkish for me. It would be more this colour, like a dusky peach. There we go. So that's the MacBites Dusky Peach. It was actually plaster, if you've heard the story. Let's say we want one that's much bluer. There's a bluer one. Couldn't be easier to do. Could not be easier to do. Who had that mustard colour? We were talking about mustard colour. Something like that, a muted mustard colour. But there you go. You can have as many of these as you want. You could even in here with this, in where it says addition, part of this was the table. And you can open that and you can get down to, there's an adjustment layer on it. You can toggle that on and off. But you can actually get down to the base and start fractionally changing the colour of that if you want, or putting stuff on there as well. Right, so that one wasn't bad, was it? That was fairly simple. But do you know what? We're not finished yet. Oh, it can do more, Jonathan. You might need to sit down, actually, Jonathan. I think it'd probably be a wise idea. Right, so I am going to save that one. I'll do a save as. We've got two major things that it can do at this point. So let's just call that what it is and close it down. Right, that was only my first demo file, Jonathan. No, it wasn't. It was the second one. I'm lying. It was the second one. Right.
Sarah's back with a burger.
Oh, I still fancy burger and chips. What's the matter? I've not had a burger in about 20 years. There's something. It's lockdown. It's lockdown. That's the issue. Right. We've looked at the hands one, and I've got a couple of others, but I think the hands one's probably the most complicated. So we'll take that one that we had before, this one. But what we'll do with it is we will use all the techniques that we've already learnt, and we will turn this into an Affinity Photo enabled smart file. Now in Affinity Photo, they're not calling it smart objects because it doesn't have every single feature that Adobe Photoshop does. But for 99% of what you want to do, this is going to be the way to do it. This is definitely going to be the way to do it. So although we could make the changes in here, etc., because we've got this perspective-y thing here and this one is embedded, you could turn this into a native file if that was what you wanted. And again, there are reasons that you may want to do that. So we've got down here the screen editable. This is pulling in the embedded document from up here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just stick it in here. That does not look like the embedded file. That looks like the embedded file. So I'll go back and get my... I should have taken some more screenshots, shouldn't I? That might have been an idea. Where are we? Data. That's where we are. iPad screenshots. Here we go. Let's drag that in. Put him in there. Oh, you will scoot off, won't you? Right. One thing I love in here, and as I say, Adobe Photoshop has changed it. If I drag this, it's not in proportion. It's dragging it just the one way. That's how Photoshop used to work. If you want it in proportion, you'd hold the Shift key down. Photoshop have flipped that. I have no idea why, and it is the most annoying thing. Okay, let's save that one. And there you go. Automatically updates in there. So we've got all of that. But this came in kit form. So you see you've got place your background. I've got in here an entire kit of backgrounds. So if I show you what was in this file, which was this one, in here comes a whole range of backgrounds. So what we could do is grab the lot, drag and drop these in, and there they all are in the background there. So let's see what size they are. They should be bigger, or at least the size of this. So there we go. We've got them all lined up in there. I personally would take all of those and group them. So that one's got place your background. I'll group that as well. And obviously make sure you name these things. So there's your backgrounds. And you can then turn them off, and as you do so, you get a different background with each one. Fabulous. Right, I'm going to turn all of those on. Might be a good idea to name them as well, if they mean something particular to you. But this one also has the same ability as the last one. So this is about as complicated as you're going to get creating one. But if you turn the backgrounds off completely, you've got change colour. But we know if we put a new fill layer in, and then we change the colour in there, we can duplicate these. So let's add these together, group those, and these are background, not with a V, background colours. And then all you need to do is duplicate and change that to whatever you want it to be. So we'll put a few in there just like we did in the other one. So we have the kind of pinky thing. We'll make it even pinkier. Oh dear, that's bad. Right, should we have a blue one? More blue, like that. Probably they look better, much more subtle than that. So I'd stick down to this end and just change them ever so slightly. So that's got like a green tint to it. Should we go for that mustardy one again? Possibly a little much, but never mind. And one more, and we're done. Oh, we could go for the grey one again, couldn't we? One of these greys. So it's just got a hint of colour in it. And then all you need to do, have them in here, fold them up, and leave them at that. Now, if you want the default one, one good way to do it, rather than toggle all of these off, is to change that. And instead of it saying change colour, if you just put default background, then you'll know exactly what it is. Take it out of the group. So we'll take that out and up there. And that one will apply unless you toggle it off and then toggle on something down in here. So personally, I would probably put that right at the back, not in there. Right at the back. You should be in there. There we go. And what I would then do is toggle that off. Now, what you're doing at this stage is adding as many features as you want to make this look amazing. Now, one of them in here, we've got a brightness option here, which does work nicely with some of these backgrounds. So you're building a kit. There is a brightness option at the top. Your screen is embedded in there. These you can kind of ignore because you're not going to be changing any of these, I wouldn't have thought. Don't think you're going to need those to edit at all. Right, but you're building a kit. You are building up a kit. So let's get on to the last stage with building the kit.
Can you see the chat?
I can see a bit of the chat. It's covered with something.
Johnny's just asked a question.
Is there a way to export individual images with the different backgrounds on as a batch process? For example, the client wanted to see all and make a choice of backgrounds. Well, you've got macros, so there could well be. Possibly via the export persona. Let me have a think about that one, Jonathan. Right, so you've got what you've got in here, but we don't have in there any of our light refraction, do we? Not seeing that. Other thing to think about when we go into here, this hasn't got our mask on it either. So let's do it properly. Let's put everything in that we can conceivably think about. And I don't want a circle, do I? No, I want a rounded rectangle. So let's get this in. So this is harking back to the other file that we had. Let's make it the right size and then get this so it's rounded up there. Let's say like that. To make that work, we particularly don't need the text. We probably don't need layer 1, but we'll add that in there. We'll add that in there. But underneath. There we go. Not like that. Right. So we've got the transparent background. What else is missing? What else is missing? What don't we have at the moment? We don't have our light refraction. Now, it's going to depend on the image and which kind of refraction, you know, where's the light coming from. But we'll just add one for the sake of completeness here. So I'm dragging it to the left, to the right, and then I'm rotating it. Then I'm placing it in the right place at the top, putting my blend mode on it, which was soft light at 40 or 50, depending. 50. I'll try and get 50. Like whack-a-mole. There we go. And put that inside here, but above the actual iPad screen. So you're doing all this work, but you're only going to need to do it once. Okay. And if I want that, I think that might need to be a little bit bigger. Like that. There we go. Okay. So we've done all of that. Let's go back in here. And you can see that that has even gone underneath the finger, which it should do. So you've done all the work. You've done it once. You've got backgrounds in here. Backgrounds with a pattern. You've got coloured backgrounds, all the colours in all the styles. You could put anything you want in here. You could put your company logo, anything else, but this is the time to do it. Because what we're going to do next is go to File and Export as Template. Now you can see I've already got a folder here called Templates, which I have in my Dropbox under Affinity Photo, but you can do this anywhere you like. I just tend to put them in one place and save. Right, and close it. And guess what? Not even save it. Oh, let's work dangerously. Right, File, New. And of course it takes you to your presets by default, but you have templates. And I created one before. I had 2 iPads on a shelf that I did earlier today. And that is the one that I've just done now. And now I have a starting point where I can just hit create and everything is already there. And it would take me 2 seconds, if not even less, to go in there and go find my file. Finding my file is going to take me longer than actually doing it, which is my Affinity photo file, and put that in there. And I am not going to have to do all of the work that I did before in terms of the light refraction and everything else. All I need to do is make sure that that is in the correct place in the stacking order. Save, done. That didn't save, did it? Good grief. Oh, hang on. No, that did not save. Where did you go? You are there. Why are you not showing? Oh, naughty, naughty. Why is that not working? Oh, it must be that one. Okay. It's misbehaving itself. Is that the right? That doesn't look like the right one. It's the vertical one here. There we go. Right, let's get that done and right. And then I can move on to the last thing, which is just even cooler. Jonathan, so excited. Right, let's put that down there. And hopefully that solves our problem. Where am I going? Embedded. That's the one, isn't it? Yep, there we go. And it's working. Brilliant. So you've actually gone from looking at what was built in Photoshop. You can edit those in Affinity Photo, but you can also create in Affinity Photo. The difference in Affinity Photo, instead of them being called smart objects, they are embedded files that you have applied a layer perspective to. But other than that, they work exactly the same way. And as you can see, you can take them a step further in here and have, when you go to Command and N, a whole range. What is going on? Here we go. You can have a whole range of them in here that, now see, for me, when I'm doing my presentations, often I want to have the screen of an iPad shown or the screen of an iPhone. And you end up scratching around looking for a mock-up and then making it. Obviously, I've got the benefit, I can just open it in Photoshop and it's done. But now you can make your own, have your own library full in here, which is just so cool. Right, you have a think about questions while I'm not going to save that one, or these, show you one more thing. One more thing. It's like Steve's here, isn't it? Right, what I'm going to show you is I have a different file, which is this one here. It's again, it's a Photoshop file, but it doesn't make a jot of difference, right? It's got 3 iPads on it. Okay, what we're looking at over here, we have a background, and there's a light effect on it and all kinds of stuff. And we have the workspace, and the workspace is iPad 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And in here we have the smart object that is an embedded file. So if we open that up, it wants us to put the thing in there. But I'm going to be working with this file on the principle. You'll look at this, and I think this is an iPad mini because it's still got the button on it. Or it's an older iPad, one or the other. But I'm going to work on the principle here that you don't have Photoshop. So what I'm going to do with these is delete them. So in here, the smart object that's come from Photoshop, they're going, gone. All right. I'm going to do it all from scratch in Affinity Photo, and in so doing, we'll show you some magic beans. Right. Let's say we want this one to be the Affinity Designer vertical screen. So I've got my vertical screen. Here's my vertical screen. But it's no good putting it in here in terms of pixels, is it? Do you know if this thing would respond to me every now and then? Right, it's no good bringing it in here like this and then trying to fiddle around with it because it's just all going to go wrong. So what we need to do is open up this file in Affinity Photo. So it's a PNG opening up in Affinity Photo. You will notice, if you looked at this, we have square corners. We do not need to put a rounded mask on this. Right, all we need to do with this is make sure that it is an Affinity Photo file, and that will enable us to put extra layers in it, which we wouldn't be able to do if it was just pixels. So we could put our triangle in there if we wanted, just so we've got something in there. I would say with this one, be ultra careful because the light is unlikely to be coming from the same source. But just for the sake of completeness, so you can see that I am actually putting extra content in here, I will put that up there and I will change it to soft light and I will take it down a bit, just enough to have a bit of a suggestion of light on it. Right, and I will save that as an Affinity Photo file. So it's going on the desktop. So we'll say vertical, but we'll put iPad mini. Right, we have it. Okay, so what I need to do, you should be singing this to me now. File, place, go and find the file. There's the iPad mini one. And okay, loads it in. I click, we have the background. Right, it's way too big, so take it down and make it the right size. Okay, so we want it definitely higher up than that, so we'll put it at the top at the moment. Right, because what we need to do with it is apply the layer, live filter layer, distort, perspective on it. And it should be really easy for the first one, shouldn't it? Because, you know, it's in the middle. But I'm going to go for this one first, because this is actually the one that's iPad 1 in the layers. So put it in there like that. And it shouldn't be too difficult because we haven't got the rounded corners. So is that about right? I think that needs more here. So let's grab that to cover that. Looks fairly decent. You do want a suggestion of light round the edge, but only like that much, rather than actually seeing any white. That will destroy the illusion. So like that. And how are we doing down here? A mile off. There we go. Right, not bad at all. Now, obviously I've got 2 more iPads to deal with here. So I will take my first one that I've already done, and I will Command and J and Command and J. That has given me 2 more copies. So where on it? There we go. There we go. So I need to edit the perspective on it because it's over there at the minute, and this one needs to sit here. So I'm grabbing that and bringing that over to the one in the middle. Right, that one, I would have started with that one because it was square to start with. But, as I say, they are numbered 1, 2 and 3, so I'll do it in the right order. So just get that in place and then go on to the last one. And over here. Who's going to be trying this weekend? Jonathan's already trying it. Right, and we'll go get the last one. So we had 1, 2 and 3. If you're wondering why the handles are in the middle, it was because that's where it was when I started the perspective change on it. So me pulling it over to the left, the square stays in the middle. So I'm on the third one. I want to double click on the perspective. Here it is. And I'm just going to drag it over to there. So it's going to be completely wrong until I go in and sort it out. And this is getting in my way. So let's take that one over there. And there. Okay. Right. Jonathan's already playing with it. Oh, is it going to change your life, Jonathan? You're not jealous of that guy that does the keyframes now. You haven't got time for that. This is far better. Right, let's key these up so they look somewhat acceptable. I'm not particularly concerned about perfect on this because this is the bit I'm going to show you next. And it's nothing to do with whether it's perfect or not, but you've seen it go in the right place. Okay, so we have there, let me get rid of that. We have 3 copies of the embedded thing and we have the workspace. So if I click on iPad 1, we can see it's iPad 1 is the one on the left. Now, this is such a simple file. I don't need to change these, but I will. Okay, I'm going to put them where they were when it was the Photoshop one. So let me take this out of the layers so I can actually see all the layers. Right, this one actually belongs in iPad 1 here. So you can see there's an adjustment in there that we don't particularly need. I'll just put it there. Makes no difference to what it looks like. I'm just putting it really in a good place to know that it's part of iPad 2, and then I don't get confused. So I'm literally just putting iPad 1 with iPad 1, iPad 2 with iPad 2, and iPad 3 in there. That means if I decide that I want to export this, but I only want the 2 on the outside, then I can toggle the middle one off, or I can toggle the left one off, or toggle the right one off. So it's a good idea to put them where they need to live. Right, then, you know that client that always wants changes making. Yeah, that one. Right, decides, like Jonathan's saying, well, the background is there, so you can do the background as well. So we've got a colour fill, and we can change the colour fill to anything that you want. It's actually really interesting in this one, if you go to the layer, and you do a new fill layer right at the back, and you put some kind of reasonable colour in it, but something that's got a colour to it like that, and just show you what a huge difference it makes. If you turn off the light effect, it then looks very flat. That light effect lifts the whole artwork. And again, you can have as many backgrounds as you want in it. But back to the client. The client would like this to be the photo one. Yeah, they would, wouldn't they? Once you've finished and it all looks fabulous. But not too much of a problem now, though, because you know that each of these is a smart object. So it's very simple to change it. You don't have to go back and do the skewing and the perspective all the time. So you can just go into the file, grab your vertical photo one, which by the look of it is perfectly scaled. Excellent, must have been an 11-inch. Right, and save that. And then go back. Boom, all three totally updated. But we only changed one. That's because I duplicated them. They are clones of each other, and everything you do to one will happen to another. So if you happen to have an image like this where you've got multiple iPads and you want the same screen on them, instead of changing it 3 times, you only need to change it once. So that is smart objects in Affinity Photo, but they're not called smart objects. I wish they were, because it would make life a whole lot easier, wouldn't it? You wouldn't then have to explain that, well, actually what it is and what you do with it. But it is smart objects by another name. Right, just to make sure that we are all on the same page. If you are using them that you have downloaded and it is in a Photoshop format, you need to go to the Preferences, General, and you need to put a tick in that box for that to work. That is a bit of an issue. It's that one there, third one down. It's a bit of an issue because, if you reinstall your machine, you'll drive yourself mad for an hour while you think this just isn't working. I'm sure it worked. I've just set up a new machine and I've had to go through all of these options and make sure that they're all enabled. Right, so that's the first thing. That's if you're working with Photoshop files. But if you want to create your own, you need to create... Let's open up that one. That one. You need to create an Affinity photo file with its own set of layers and its own everything. It's a full Affinity photo file. And you then, in your artwork, need to go to File, Place, and once you've placed it, the way you get it to skew and perspective, add perspective to it, is go to the Live Filter layer, Distort, Perspective. And you are done. You can, of course, take it further, like I've shown you tonight, where you can create a template from it. So now we've got this one in here and we've got 3 images in it. I can just as easily export that. Not export it. Export. No. Export it as a template. So File, Export as Template. It will automatically go to my template folder, and that one can be 3 iPads. And then when I go to File and New, not Curves, File and New. Oh, crying out loud. Right. New templates. It seems to need to go back to presets and then templates to update. But there's my third one that I've created tonight. Okay. Hopefully you enjoyed that and found it useful. That's an amazing feature. It really is an amazing feature. Right, let me get back into here because I think it is straight over to you, Mike.
When I've pressed record.
Well, you go press record while I... Oh, crying out loud. Ah! Why is my mouse flying around? What is it doing?
I don't know.
Do you know I always have mouse trouble, don't I?
Yeah.
I do. It's got a mind of its own. Right, there's what Mike's doing. Extracting content from email bodies. It sounds like CSI, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're extracting things from bodies.
Right.
Right.
She's in bed, by the way.
Is she?
Yes.
Oh, bless. She's tired of me.
She's had her cheese.
Lucky girl. Right, let's switch to you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Right, we've switched to you.
Right. Okay, here's a scenario. When somebody signs up to my Excel newsletter,
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
That's like my dusty blog.
Yeah. Yeah, no. This is a fictitious scenario. There we go.
I was going to say it was a fictitious email newsletter.
Well, is that as well, yeah. No, I've promised.
It's rare.
It's on my
and
someday.
Precious.
Maybe you'll get one when you least expect it.
Oh, that quick.
That quick, yeah. Right. Let's start again, shall we? Without the quips this time. Okay. When somebody signs up to my Excel newsletter, I get an email, and the subject of that email I have set up to always be the same. Please add me to the newsletter. And the body of the email will always have the same structure. So if I go into the newsletter subscriptions folder, which I've set up for this demo, I've got 3 emails. First one's from Jane Doe, second one's from Andy Pandy, and the third one is from John Doe. And you can see that each one of them has got the same subject, and the structure of the email is the same. And what I want to do is I want to extract the name, email address, and the date when that email was sent, and stick them in Excel. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this. One way is to select all of those emails and then go to File, Save As, and save as a text file. And what it will do is it will create one text file that's got a combination, a merge if you like, of all of the emails in it. So if there's 100 emails, then you'd end up with a fairly big text file. It will be quite messy, but then you can use Power Query to sort it out. But when I tried this, the Power Query that I would have needed to use, the steps I would have needed to use, was actually quite advanced, and I probably would have had to have written some M code myself because of the layout that you get. So if I actually just go and show you this.
Can I just ask if anyone's got a buzz? Can you let me know in the chat?
Can hear, yeah.
Yes, it's that. I can tell you exactly what it is, but that would necessitate turning it off and on again.
Oh.
I can turn it off and on again if you would like.
Let me see if I can hear a buzz.
If you can't hear a buzz, I will make sure that it shuts up without turning it off and on again. Oh, it's got a mind of its own.
I don't hear a buzz.
Right. I'll just cover it up with something.
Okay. No, you can't. Just looking at the questions as well. No, you can't do this on Excel for Mac, Kim, because of the Power Query only works in Excel on Windows. Kim says there's no buzzing there. Right, so, okay, I will. I'll carry on in that case. Yeah, if I go and create a text file. So if I just call this one, say demo, get my mouse in the right window, there we go, just stick it on my desktop, and then go into Excel. So Kim, I'm actually not sure what you can do as an export from Outlook in on the Mac. But you certainly can't do what I'm about to do on Excel for the Mac, because it involves using Power Query or Get and Transform, which is the Windows equivalent, and that isn't available on the Mac. But if I do data get data from text, and then I go and choose this demo text file and import it, and then click on load to actually load it into the spreadsheet, you can see that the data's come in, but the way it's come in is going to need a lot of work to get it in the structure we want. And yes, it can be done, but as I said, it would involve manually writing some M code. And if you remember from previous sessions, M is the language that comes with Power Query. So you can do it that way. I'm going to show you an easier way to do it. So I'm going to go back into Outlook. And what I would do in the real world is I would probably create a rule in Outlook so that it moves the emails that have please add me to the newsletter from my inbox and sticks them in this newsletter subscriptions folder. You don't have to do that, but it is going to make your life easier having all of these emails in a single folder. The easiest way to get them moved, rather than dragging and dropping them yourself from the inbox to the newsletter subscriptions folder, is to create a rule, which you can do in Outlook with File and then Manage Rules and Alerts. And that way, as an email comes into your inbox, the rule will kick in, and because of the subject, it will move it to the newsletter subscriptions folder.
Have you answered Sarah's question?
I don't know. I've not seen Sarah's question. Let me have a look. Is Power BI free on Excel for Windows? You can, yes, you can download, Sarah, you can download Power BI for free. But when you want to share anything you've built with it, because Power BI itself, hang on. I think we're talking at cross purposes here. Power BI is not Excel. Power BI is a separate application. So if you're talking about Power Query, okay, let me go into Excel. If you're talking about Windows, then go to and this is on your work laptop, right, go to Data, and if you've got Get and Transform section, which you will have if you've got Excel 2016 or later, then you don't need Power Query, okay? Because everything that Power Query does is now built directly into Excel under Get and Transform. So if you go to Data on your work laptop and you look to see if you've got a Get and Transform section, then you don't need Power Query. If you're using an earlier version of Excel, 2013 or earlier, then you can download Power Query from the Microsoft website, or in your case, go through your IT department. Power BI, though, is a totally separate application. It's not Excel. It is free. There is a free version of Power BI. But as soon as you build a report with Power BI, because that's what it's for, and then you want to share that report with other people, you've got to get a license. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, if you've got 365, Sarah, then you've probably got the latest version of Excel. Dr. Mike Hughes, who wants to talk Windows? Well, if you want to do what I'm going to do, then you've got to use Windows. Okay, so I want to talk Windows.
We have Windows users.
We do indeed. Right, okay, let's get back to this. So, back in Excel, I've started a new file, and I'm going to go to Data, and in fact, no, I want to step before this. I want to go back into Outlook, and in Outlook, I'm going to go to File, Open and Export, Import, Export. I'm going to export to a file. I'm going to export to a CSV file, and I'm going to export my newsletter subscriptions folder. That's why I moved everything to that folder. Rather than exporting my whole inbox, I'll just export this folder. I've done this before. I've been through this process before to test it works, but we know what we say, don't we? It worked in rehearsals. Well, fingers crossed it'll work in the real thing as well. So it remembers the last file name that you used, and it remembers the last location. You can change that if you want to, but I'm going to leave it where it is. Click Next, click Finish. Okay. So I will now have on my desktop a CSV file somewhere. Did I say, where's it gone? There it is, subscription. Okay, so I open that, and that's what it looks like. So it's generated a load of information for each email. So let's go back into Excel and click on Data, From Text or CSV. Okay, this is the bit that you can only do on Excel for Windows. The Mac doesn't support this this stuff. Microsoft have said they're getting there, but they've been saying that for a long time. So let's see if they ever do actually get there with Power Query, or Get and Transform as it's now called. So I'm going to select that CSV file and click on Import. And usually what I do at this point is I click Load, and that will load the data into the spreadsheet. But I know that I'm going to need to do some data transformation on this data, so I'm going to click straight on Transform Data. So instead of loading the data into the spreadsheet, it's going to load the data into the query editor. And there's some stuff that I need to do to get this data tidy. So for a start, I want it to take the first row of data and make it headings. Because if you look at row 1, we've got subject, body, from, etc, etc, and it thinks that that is a row of data, but it's not, it's the headings. So I will click on Transform, Use First Row as Headers, and that now takes row 1 and makes it into headers. The next thing I want to do is hide or remove certain columns, and I've shown you in the past a few ways to do this, where you can select the columns that you want to hide or remove, and then from home click on remove columns. But another way to do it is to click on home, then click on choose columns, and it just gives you a little easier interface to choose which columns you want to keep. And in this case, I'm actually only interested in keeping the body. There's nothing else there that I need to keep. Once I've done that, I'm going to split the column into two, because I want it to show the name in one column and the email address in the other. Now, if you look closely, between the email, the heading email and the start of the email address, there's a colon and a space. So what I will do there is go to Transform, Split Column by Delimiter. And most of us think of a delimiter as a single character, like a comma or a dash or a colon or something like that. But a delimiter can actually be multiple characters. So if I actually say split at email colon space, then what it will do is it will split that data into two columns where email colon space was. Once I've done that, I will rename the columns simply by double clicking on them. So call that one name and call that one email or email address. And then what I want to do is get rid of the word name colon space actually in that column. And to do that, select that column and select extract text before delimiter. Or is it text after? Sorry, it's text after. I want to keep the name. So extract the text after the delimiter, and the delimiter is name colon space. Oh, I thought it was name colon space. Let's go back in via the cogwheel. Obviously, it's not name colon space. Let's delete that step actually. Keep the text after the delimiter. Should I try that again? Extract text after delimiter. Okay, well, how about colon space? Let's do it that way. That's better. Theoretically, name colon space should have worked. I don't know why it didn't. And the other thing I want to do is I want to get rid of everything after that greater than sign there. So keep the email address, which is everything before the greater than sign. So for email address, I'll go to transform, extract, text before delimiter, and the delimiter is going to be the space less than, because otherwise it would keep the space at the end of the email address. And once I've done that, I'll come out of that, keep the changes, and I now have the names and the email addresses. Now that's one way to do it. And the thing about this is it's repeatable. So what I mean by that is if you right click on that data and you do a refresh, then if you've got different emails in the CSV file because you've done an export, then it's going to update that list. That's one way to do it. The two downsides of doing it that way are, one, you've got to do a manual export to the CSV file, and two, it hasn't included the date. Because when you do an export to CSV from your mail folder, it doesn't export the date. So I'm going to close that down. I'm going to show you a different way to do it. Okay, which won't actually involve a CSV file. It'll live link through to the Outlook folder, to the newsletter subscriptions folder. So I don't actually need Outlook open. I'm going to go into Excel, start a new Excel file, and go to data, get data from other sources from Microsoft Exchange. Now the downside of doing it this way is it will only allow you to connect to one mailbox. It's one mailbox per file. So you could connect to lots of different mailboxes in different Excel files, but you can only do it one email box per file. So I'm going to type in my email address here. I'm using my demo one. Because I have done this before in this version of Excel, I've already authenticated it, so it keeps a record of usernames and passwords, so I don't have to keep putting that in. And what it does is it shows me all the top level containers in my mailbox. So I'm going to choose mail, and I'm going to click on transform data. Transform data will take you straight into the Power Query editor. So the first thing I want to do is I'm only interested in the newsletter subscriptions folder, so I will filter everything out except that folder. Okay, then I'm going to choose the columns that I want, and I'm only interested here in keeping the date, time sent, and the body. Where's the body? There's the body. Okay. So we've got the date it was sent and the body, and you'll notice with the body it doesn't actually show you the body of the email. If you click on the double-headed arrow, whenever you see a double-headed arrow in Power Query, in the query editor, it means it's expandable. So I can click the double-headed arrow, and I'm going to use the plain body. I don't want the HTML body. I just want to use the plain text body, and click on OK. And what we have there is we have the name and the email address. So at this point, I would do pretty much what I did before. I would go through and I would split that into to two. So I have the name in one column and the email address in another. So let's do that. Let's go to transform, split column by delimiter, and this one is going to be email : space. And then for this column, I'm going to keep everything after : by saying extract everything after the delimiter, the delimiter's : space. And for this one, I want to keep everything before the less than sign. So extract the text before the delimiter, and it's the less than sign. And then just rename these columns. So I'll put name, email address, and date. And that's pretty much it. I'll come out of the query editor. And there's the data, the date it was sent, the name and the email address. And again, this is connected directly to the mailbox. So if I do go into Outlook and I create a new mail, and I'm going to say that it's going to be from to Mike Thomas. The subject was please add me. Was it please add me? I think it was please add me. Please add me to the newsletter. So I'll just copy that. And then we'll put name, John Smith, and email, john.smith@theexceltrainer.co.uk. Send that. That should then come into my inbox. There we go. What I'll do is I'll move these three out of my newsletter subscriptions folder. I'll just stick those in emails to keep, and I will stick that one into newsletter subscriptions. Obviously that would have been done with a rule and that would have been automated, but now when I right click on this table and refresh it, okay, I'm not left with any emails. I'm guessing that's because somewhere along the line I messed up the subject or something like that. But in theory, that should have worked. It should have picked up that one email. Obviously, I've messed something up there in terms of the subject or something like that.
Yes, but it worked in rehearsals.
It worked in rehearsals and it worked in theory, and that's the important thing.
Oh, I love that. It worked in theory.
It worked in theory. Okie dokie, so that is it. I see one or two questions there. Let me go back to here. So Dr. Mike Hughes, how about Linux? As far as I know, Power Query, Power BI, Data Get Data is only available on the Windows version of Excel. Am I comma delimiting? Am I comma delimiting the CSV file? I think it was comma delimiting. Yes, that is the default. So yes, it is comma delimiting. Okay, and I think that's it. So I hope you found that useful, along with last week's, which was extracting a list of Teams URLs, which is something that I use today at work, doing my scheduling. Hope those two sessions have been useful. Excel in the real world.
Right, we do have a buzz here.
Can we tell it to buzz off?
It's the audio interface. Can't you hear that? I'm sure you can hear it. Let me move the microphone, and then everybody else can hear it. There we go. We've got a buzz. Right, what I intend to do with that, which will cause complete havoc, is turn it off. It does that every now and then. So now it should have gone all quiet. Don't speak, Mike. No one's going to hear you. So I'm going to start it up again. You should still be able to hear me. Right, let me have a look how that looks and sounds. It doesn't like that, it doesn't like that. Well, never mind, get on with it. Okay, looks like you can still hear me. Do you want to say hello, Mike?
Hello.
Right, they can hear you as well. Excellent. All's back where it was before, which is how it should be. Now I've got a desk full of towels, because what I did was, to muffle the sound, I covered the thing up with about 15 towels. So, let's put those over there. Oh, I love going live. It's fabulous.
That's right. Me doing the washing tomorrow.
They're not dirty yet. Just a minute. Right, let me get in there and make sure that they can see my screen. Way. Right, we're moving on. We're moving on to Notion 2021 and the infamous learning management system. Part 3. Right, where we were at. Building a learning management system. We'd broken it up into 4 chunks. Which I may or may not be extending. But we got to the point where we had the tables. Now, the management system, the dashboards, the integrations are all kind of mixed in together. I think we could separate out dashboards. But I'm going to give you guys a choice, right? I got a mail from Sarah. And Sarah had quite a few questions. So I thought it would probably be a good idea to go over the thing from the top to see exactly what we've got and exactly where we're going. If that sounds good, excellent. But if you, I think it's a good idea to do the overview. So that's definitely there. But then we could do dashboards or we could do templates. Now, it doesn't really matter which way round you go when you know what you're doing. And obviously I've built the thing, so I know what I'm doing. But do you have a preference? So let me know in the chat if you have a preference. Would you rather do today templates, or would you rather do the dashboards? It's completely up to you. Let me know in the chat. Let me just move this so I can see the chat. Right, so overview. While you're pondering that and letting me know, I'll do the overview, right? Right, what we were attempting to do was build a learning management system. And we managed to do that. Here's our learning management system. Right, but the dashboard would be the very top level. No, Kim doesn't care. It doesn't matter about the order. Okay, well, the dashboard that we'd built was very basic. I think it literally said on it, I think it had one item, which was the table that we'd built. But there's the possibility Sarah might have a preference, so we'll wait and see what Sarah says. But what we've built so far is we've got this learning management system, okay? And it's in a single table. And the single table was called Links LMS. Now, it doesn't matter what you call this table. The reason that I call it Links LMS is when I go to clip something. So let's say that we go to my blog and we want to clip something. Let's find something we have. Oh, about my text setup. That needs updating, doesn't it? Badly. I don't use that mouse anymore. I don't use that. Oh, it needs updating. Right, I'll update it. Okay, let's say we wanted to clip that. When you use the Notion clipper, obviously, it will default to the last database that you clip to or the last page. You can clip to either a page or a database. But whenever I want to do it, I want it so it goes into a links database. That's just a database. It's just a standard database. But it's easier for me if I type links. All I will be shown in there is links databases, technically. But the links will be at the top anyway. The links will definitely be at the top. And it's just easier for me. I then call it LMS. So after links : comes whatever it is. So it could be notes. It could be hardware. It could be anything. But I will always put links at the beginning. You don't have to. That is your core database. Whenever you're clipping to it, you'll clip it to that core database. So Sarah's called hers something else, which is absolutely fine. It doesn't make a jot of difference, and you can change your mind down the line. So it doesn't matter. It was purely, I did that so I could say, clip it to there and save the page, and it's done. And it's now clipped to the right place. And if we open that up in Notion, it's in my LMS system, which is the page, followed by the database, followed by the title of this particular item. And there is the thing. Oh, mic works in there now. Still got all the acoustic curtaining, but there's a lot more equipment in there. Right, so that's one question that people had. Why is it called this and etc.? This is the base table. So when we built it, off here, this is the do not touch on pain of death database. So if I was building the dashboard, then what I would do with this is the first job would be to get rid of that and put it down at the bottom and then build the views that I need. The other option we've got is all of these things that we've clipped. So I think we clipped some of these last time, where we'd built in at the very top level the database to contain each and every item that we considered to be a learning material. So with this one, there would be a delivery date that was something like 2014. That actually doesn't exist anymore. Let's just say it was February 2014. I might choose to review that if it's something that, you know, maybe I've got like how to make Christmas baubles. I might put a review date on that. If I want to do something specific with it, then I will put a reminder date on it. I always type a summary in when I finish watching a video or reading an article. Just a line or two, just to say to me, you know, basically an executive summary, but very short, very, very short. I then have a status, so I've either not started it, it's in progress, or it's complete. In this case, that one's complete. I do put a content type in, so I can filter out. If I think, oh, I saw a YouTube video on Affinity Photo, then I can filter it based on that, and that's what we've got in here as well. So these were tags that I threw in. But don't get confused between this metadata, which is all of that, and the metadata we looked at when we looked at Sarah's yoga course. This metadata at this top level in the database called Links LMS is the metadata for one individual element of the learning management system. It could be one article, one YouTube video, or it could be a 3-year degree course. It doesn't matter. The same meta works irrespective of how detailed the content of the course is. So in Sarah's case, Sarah's got a 300-hour course. That's an extravaganza. All of that can be contained with under one set of metadata, but the magic happens here below the fold. In this case, it's one video. One YouTube video, which actually was part of a webinar. It didn't even start life as a YouTube video. It was a webinar, and it's probably about 12 minutes long. But Sarah's is 300 hours, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. It's still, in here, we've got that video we've looked at, and we've got Sarah's course. So at the moment, there's nothing in here. And things like the URL, that would be the URL of the home page of the course. And the delivery date would probably be, you know, let's say she started on the 1st of January. You could put an end date on that, and that might be 6 months later. It could be months and months later. It's referring to the entire course. You would only mark this as complete when everything in the course is done. However, below the fold, we built in, if you remember, we built the whole thing in here. So let's open up that as a new page. Let's get rid of this so we can see it. And we put a lot, or we put placeholders in for a lot of the course information. But this was the actual elements of the course. So this first video has meta of its own. So it has a duration, it has a delivery date, a completed date. That's not the date she completed. Oh God, that set Alexa off. The A-lady on the landing is talking again. Throw the towels on top of the woman, Mike. The tech's possessed, what can I say? The completion date here is not the completion date of the whole course. It's the completion date of this individual chunk. Now, I wasn't going to go down to this level of detail, but I am because of a question that Sarah asked, which is, now not particularly in relation to the introduction to the course, but let's say somewhere down here there's something, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. Right, so something like that. And that is a technique or something, and she does more research on it. Where does that go? Now, there's nothing to stop you in Notion using the Russian dolls principle. Let's say this part of the course was 50 hours and there's loads and loads of notes about it. Then below the fold, which has nothing at the moment, build a database. So we could have in here, let's put in a database. Now, admittedly, this is the real database, but let's not worry about it, right? And we'll say that this is more research. So this was a question that Sarah had. It's Sanskrit. This would explain why I can't say it, but never mind. Right, this is the research for this particular section of the course. In fact, it's not even a section, is it? This is the smallest unit on this course. But Sarah said to me, I might do more research on that. And if you do, then this is where it goes. Now, you would, of course, have to think carefully about how the stuff is getting in there. So if it's like this, well, let's say part of the research is to check my tech setup. Just because we've got a link, I can grab that link and I can go into here and in the research, right, add an item in here. This is at the moment the lowest level we're going. So it's a research item, and let's say how to sit. You've got to sit properly, haven't you? And let's say you wanted to put in a link, and I create a bookmark for that, and it sticks the link into it. I can click that and it will navigate to the site. It should come in with the thumbnail, and it will even have an image there, which is pretty much picked at random. And you could do that. So let's say this yoga foundations that we found last week as well, which I think I downloaded into here. But let's say we take that and we put that in here as another research item. So you could mention the page, or you could put a link to the page. You could put anything in here. And now this is incredibly granular. This is research items that are linking to one individual chunk of a 300-hour course, which in itself is one item in the links LMS system. And if How to Sit turned into a 5-hour epic, nothing to stop you putting another table in here either. So was it that one? Tell me it was that one. Oh God, which one was it? I can't tell which is which from here. That's not good. Let's go back. It wasn't that one, was it? No. Oh, come on. There we go. Right. So that's down in there. You could then put other items in here. So if you've got articles, you could choose to put them in the research database, which lives in this single unit. So this is a video. It's 28 minutes, but you might have a transcription of it. What I tend to do with that is put in there transcript, and I put that at the beginning, which means I can toggle it open and I will put the transcript inside it. Okay. Right. Sarah says, that's really useful. Is there a way to link directly from web pages using the Notion shortcut, or would you need to copy and paste? From the website, copy and paste. I'm not sure what you mean by link directly from the web page. One thing I could have done, which I was about to show you. Let's open this up as a page so I don't lose it. Okay. Let's say you wanted to actually clip that in here in that database. You want it in slot number 2 there, right? You could probably do that. Your problem would be the database here, which is the lowest level of one individual video, would need to be unique. And you don't want it called that and then database after it. You might get away with numbering it. That might be a way to do it. So if you maybe took the number and maybe put the research at the beginning. So if you did that, it's not copied it. Come on. It's in a mood. Right, let's put that in. Having said that, what I would do is, in your case, knowing you've got so many, one must be a section or something. I tend to put a 0 in just to be 100% sure, so it's unique. Right, then what you could do is go up here and do a clip. This may or may not be what you're looking to do. Right, in here, instead of putting it straight in the links LMS, which is the very top level, it definitely doesn't belong there. The course is at that level. But what we could do in here is actually put the reference number in and see what it makes of it. It should find it. There we go. And I can then say save that to there. Right, if we open that, we are now way, way down. This is the title of the piece. This is the database it's in. But that database itself is living in the yoga training log of your course, which itself is in the links LMS system. So you can just keep going. What that looks like in here, obviously I had 2 blank ones in there, but it would actually add it straight to that database if that's what you wanted it to do. Is that what you mean when you say link directly from a web page? Do you mean clip it into where it should be as the research for that individual unit? It's possible in more than one way. Obviously the benefit is I put it in there and I've only got the link to it. But this one has got the link in the URL and in there it's got all of the content. So it depends on exactly what you mean by that. But if that's what you mean, you can clip directly to it. It would get a little bit more complicated just purely because it's so far down the chain. Perfect. Excellent. Good. So you've been finding it so useful this week, you normally create bookmarks. The bookmark, I tend to put links in, I must admit. I don't tend to put bookmarks in that often. But the bookmarks are actually quite pretty. So at these levels here, that bookmark is actually really useful. It gives you a little bit of an intro, or you could put it in as just a link. It doesn't matter. This one has a URL, but whether you use that or not is whether you want to put more than one in here. If you want more than one, I would leave that URL at the top, just leave it blank and put the detail underneath if you're doing it manually, or clip directly to the table. The biggest thing with the table, if you want to clip directly to it, is to make the name of the table unique. Oh, bookmarks in Internet Explorer. Yikes. That's impossible to manage. Impossible to manage. One thing you might find useful, she said, frantically thinking as she got it installed here, is one of these. Right, let's just say I have open a few pages. So let's say we've got MacBites and MacBites FM and my blog. No, I'm not doing the BBC News. I am not going there. Always, it doesn't end well. Right, I've got 3 pages open. Now, you could have 33 pages open and think like they're all YouTube videos and they're all bang on point for this particular unit of content. We've all done that. You should see me tidying up when I'm ready to start on a Friday. It's like, oh, okay, I'll put these 77 pages in a folder and look at them later. Never happens, but you know, I'll put them in a folder. But what I tend to do now, rather than doing that, because they go to die, don't they, in the bookmarks folders. But what you could do, which would work really nicely, in fact, we could do with a few more pages. That's a good one for reference, isn't it? And that's a good one. And oh, we got our box set as well. Right, so we've got some pages. There is extensions that will enable you to select, to copy and paste all of those in one go. So instead of clipping them one at a time, you could do this and put them in as a link list. So I've got one installed here, which is one that I use a lot. It's called Copy Tab Info. When I click on it, it's like, first of all, what do you want? It starts at the top with just this tab. So this is just the homepage of my blog. Or you can work on all the tabs in the current window, or all the tabs in all of the windows, if you've got 5 windows with your 77 tabs in. Now, I just want this window. And I can copy the titles, the URLs, links, but Notion works with Markdown. So really what I want is an unordered list. And usefully, that's at the bottom. The unordered list is at the bottom of every section, which means all I have to think about is it the current tab, all the tabs, or all the windows? And then just go to the last one. So in this case, it's all the tabs in the current window. So click to copy. They are now copied. So let's lose that. In here, if I just want to say some useful links and make that a header, I just paste them in and we're done. Fastest way to get links in there, even faster than clipping them. But obviously, they are only a link to the live page. You have not actually taken the content off the blog and brought it in here. But if what you're wanting to do is just have links out to places, because maybe you want it to be linked so you always get the latest version, then that's by far the fastest way to do it. So that is an extension called Copy Tab Info. It works in anything that supports Chrome extensions, which includes Edge if you're using Microsoft Edge. Right, so has that explained all of the questions that you had in terms of how this thing is structured? Let me know. I wanted to make absolutely clear in here, this was going to be our dashboard, and we've actually got the database in it. So technically speaking, what this dashboard would actually look like would be, I would have my master tables underneath, and I would have those red. And I would open that up. I would probably leave that in a view all list. And then I would drag that into the master tables do not touch on pain of death. That is then my dashboard, completely blank. Right, let's get Copy Tab Info Chrome extension. I love that one. Is that the one? Let's have a look. That's the one. And it does work in other browsers, as you can see. You know, add it to Opera. I actually haven't added it. There we go. Install it, install it. Yes, please install it. 9 times, install it. And it's done. So it's that one that you need there. So I will copy that and stick that in here. Ah, Peter's found something he likes. Gold nuggets. That's proving to be amazingly useful, that extension. I had to kiss a lot of frogs to find that. Many extensions say they'll copy this and they'll copy that, but they just didn't give you enough flexibility. That one, for anything from a single link to everything in every window. And it all does it from just that one drop down, which is just amazing. It doesn't work in Firefox, and I can't find one that's as good in Firefox. I think we've sorted that, haven't we? Yeah, I do want to install it. How many times? Aha! Right, it's there. So it's disappeared under this thing. You have to pin it in here. And that's what I do with it. I have that on every browser. And then it doesn't matter what I've got open. So say, let's go to a different one. Let's do the About Me. There we go. I can go in there and say just this one, unordered. Go back to my LMS. Where did I put the links? Here we go. Useful links. Go to the bottom of the useful links and paste in. Put that at the beginning. Or if I come out of that completely and paste, it will paste with the bullet already in it. So if you're in edit mode, so that being edit mode, and you paste in, fine. If you don't have a bullet and you paste in, you don't get a bullet. But back out there, if you are not in edit mode and you paste, it automatically puts a bullet in. So it might seem like it's a little bit odd, but it's not. It's logical what it's actually doing. So everything from one single page. Now, if you think about the other way of doing it, if you want the title of the page, so say like the Devon Think 3 series, if we go to the Devon Think 3 series, you're going to have to copy that. So this is the manual way. Copy that, go back in here, put a bullet in, paste the title, go back, get the URL. Are you bored yet? It's hideous, isn't it? Then you'd have to grab hold of it and then paste it on. So it's far easier just to use this, even if it is just one link. So this is like an aside to the actual LMS system. But if what you're going to want to do is capture lots of stuff from all over the place and put that into your LMS, then the faster you can do that, the better. So that's a way to get useful links. Don't put them in the browser. Browser's where they go to die. Put them in here. So I just wanted to be 100% clear with everybody that we've got this dashboard, which is very bare at the moment because the master tables are in there. So one thing we need to finish is to actually put the dashboard together. The other thing we need to do is think about the actual content. Now, if everybody's happy with the content at the moment, then we could start building the dashboard. I did have, where did that disappear to? That's not what I'm looking for. But somewhere in there, I think I did have mine, which has totally vanished. Oh no, there we go. I think that's it, isn't it? The one that I was using last week as a demo. Yeah, it's sort of there. Right, this one. Right, it's a little bit squashed on here, isn't it? Because I've got my sidebar. But this is what we would be attempting to build. So let's take it down so we can see it all. Right, you would be looking to build the management system for it. You would have your favourites, which could be courses, could be videos, could be more than that. So I think we looked at the Hindi one, and they're not courses, they're just random videos from YouTube, from recordings of the Hindenburg company that do webinars. This one was one from Facebook. But it wouldn't matter if it was a 30-hour extravaganza or a 3-minute video. It exists at this level, and as far as I'm concerned, when I'm looking for something that I know I've seen or read about Hindenburg, I want the Hindenburg view. This is not a course in its own right. Each one of these is individual. So if I wanted to go into there, I may or may not have some notes in there, probably not. Oh, I do. There you go. There's all my notes at the bottom. That one was all about shortcuts, I think. I know it's talking about volume, but oh my word, it was on about soundbags and ducking and shortcut keys where you have to press 2, like K and L. Not together, it's K then L or K and then J. It got complicated, so I put all of that down there after that. But that's just one video. And I have that at the very top level. Now, seen as though this says lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, and 9, I could choose to have that as one like Hindenburg lessons item and drill down. But that would necessitate me going up and down to see them. So I left them at the same level. They're not a course, they're individual videos that they just happen to number on the site. I think then we'll start pulling it together with the dashboard and we'll build the templates next week then. All right, dashboard couldn't be easier. Right, I'll leave that there on my dashboard so I can see what we do. I tend to have my dashboards looking pretty similar. That way I know where everything is. So the dashboard for the wiki and the dashboard for the LMS, similar. But it never hurts going over it, does it? Right, I have 3 columns. I start off with management. I also have an inbox, and then on the other side I have reminders. That's how I start off. I also put emojis in because I like them. So I always in there, inbox, come on, keep up with me. And management, and I think I use the gear for that. There we go. Right, those are the 3 items that I will have across the top. Now, I've just put them in as text. They're not pages, they're just text with an icon next to them. But when I move them into place, there's the management one, there's the inbox, and there's the reminders. So all we need to do is get them lined up, and that one flummoxes people all the time because it's nonsensical. But you grab the second item in this case and you move it all the way across to mid-air on the right hand side, and that gives you a column. You then do that with the next one, again mid-air, and you've got 3 columns. I then hover again mid-air and pull this one back because I'm not going to need that much space on the management side because that's just like navigation. And now I've got my 3 columns. So I'm good to go with my 3 columns. Right, the next item I put under here is in the management. Now, these at the moment don't look great. They need to be heading 1s because they're going to be right at the top. And underneath here, I would put an LMS management view. So, LMS management. But at the minute, that's just text. It's nothing else, is it? And I'll also, down here, put a line. And that line is literally, let's get rid of that. So I'm separating off the master tables. Right, this item needs to be in that column. And it needs to be a page. And I didn't make it as a page, but that's easily solved. Command, Option, and 9 makes it a page. And all I did with that then was go into it, make it full width, and give it an icon. And the icon wasn't that one. It was a little card index box. It was that one. And I didn't do anything else with it. I know I'm going to build a management view, but I don't need to do it at the moment. The next thing I then did, let's go to the bottom, drag them into place. I had my favourites, and I think that was a level 2. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. And my favourites were literally just pages that I am going to build up shortly. So let's say we want one for in here. Let's go Affinity Photo. And we'll build one for each, okay? But I'm not going to build them all at this stage. I'm just going to put Affinity Photo in there. One thing that it needs to be a page. So Command, Option, and 9 makes it a page. Go into it. And I know I'm going to want it full width. I wish you could make this the default. They'll get round to it eventually. I might live long enough to see it. Then I need to add an icon to it. And I don't just want a standard icon. I want to upload an icon. What are you doing? I have no idea what that is. Right, what I do have in here... Oh, good grief, where are they? They are in... No, they're not. They're in resources, aren't they? Don't play with my mind. Notion. Or did I leave them? I might not have moved them. If I haven't moved them, then they're going to be in there. Right, assets. So I have a whole set of assets for Notion, including icons, including apps, because that's what I use all the time. And in there, I should have Affinity Photo, we said, didn't we? That's not the right icon. It needs updating because they changed it. They rounded the corners because, you know, Apple. But we'll use that one anyway. And that way it's got a proper icon. When I go back to the LMS page then, once I've got my icon in, I have my pretty icon next to it. Now, the reason that I'm not going to create the others, the Affinity Designer, the Affinity Publisher, the Notion, the Hindenburg, we've already ascertained every time I make a page, it's not full width. So I might as well duplicate rather than make new. And if I'm going to duplicate, I might as well duplicate with the content of the page rather than duplicate blank pages and make my life more difficult. So I'm just going to leave that with saying Affinity Photo. My favourites are going to live in that column. So you see the blue line? Dragging that up there, the line gets smaller and it's putting it in the first column. And then I'm going to have my Affinity Photo underneath it. Now, here's where it gets really cool. Right, in my inbox is just a view of my core table. So, if I put in create linked database, I then need to type in a database name, and the core table is called links LMS. So I want a view of that particular table, and that's all that's in it at the minute, and it doesn't look pretty, does it? Right, I need to make sure in here that I've got a view that will work, and the view that works great is a list view. So if I just call this view inbox, there's my list view. Now at the moment it's showing me everything. I'm more worried at the moment about getting this to look right. So in the properties, do I want to see the tags? Probably not. What I want to see is the progress or the status of it, which would be that one. Right? And then once I can see that, I probably need to filter it. Now, what I'm thinking is I need to go into here and make sure, how am I going to make sure that I can put something in the inbox? And I've got lots of options here. I don't have an inbox, put a tick next to it. I could make one. But you could do it in other ways. Now, you can't do much with the dates or the summary for this, but you do have tags. So in your tags, we've only got 2. But if we put in an inbox icon followed by the word inbox, and we created that, and then we made it a lovely, lovely green colour and put it at the top, then all we would need to do for something to appear in the inbox is tag it as inbox. We've made sure that it's a multi-select, so you can tag it as anything else as well. You don't have to just limit that to one. The status is a single select. The content type is a single select, but the tags is a multi-select. So we've got one marked as inbox. Let's do this one here and put that in as inbox as well. And then build the query. So we want to filter this. We don't want to see everything. We only want to see where the tags contain inbox. That's our inbox. That's what we're working on. So if we compare that with mine, I was in the middle of finishing that course, if you remember, and I left it be so we could go see it. But my 2 book clubs are going on till the 14th of March, so I've marked them as in the inbox. And I've got this build a fan base on YouTube that I was in the process of. And if you remember, I'd got all the stuff in there. Was it complete? What the duration was? And inside all of these, I had notes from it, screenshots from it, highlights of it, you name it, it was there. So that's still in progress because I've not done the last video. I will do the last video by next week. There you go. And then it won't be. How did I get the inbox icon in the tags? That's really simple. I do that a lot. If you look at these have icons as well. These are standard emojis. And I don't like the fact in Notion that everything's so pale. So I've added in these emojis and they are just emojis. So if we go back to the other one in here, and I don't want to add a new one. I want to go in there, right? You could add any of these. So all I did with it was add a new tag. So what I did is on a Mac, it's Control Command Spacebar. And that brings up that. And you can choose any of these. So let's say I want to put a little reminder on it. Then I put a space because otherwise the text is too close. And then next to that, you would put like, say important. Press enter and you've got a tag. And there's a little emoji at the beginning of it. So simple as that. Standard emoji. So let's get rid of him. And then the filter filters for that. So now I've managed to add one on there that I don't need, so I'll delete it. Right, you could change that filter if you wanted to, if you wanted it by some kind of date or whatever, but I don't think you really need to. Now, the next one. So I'm going to go in here and have a look at this. Let's say for this, I want to create this and I need to do it by Sunday. Like anything ever happens here. Right, and I'll put one in here as well. I'll make that a reminder date of, let's say, the 3rd of March, because, why not? Right. I need on my reminders over here for it to look like it should look over here. So you can see this one, I've got a reminder on this of the 20th, which was actually last week, which was when I needed to be doing stuff on it, ready for Saturday, which that was Saturday afternoon. So it was for Sunday. So that's fine. What I would then do with this is then change that. So I would open my thing here and my reminder date would be, I needed to be reminded about that tomorrow so I can get up to date ready for Sunday. So that's how I use the reminder dates. Let's go in there, change that to Saturday, and I will then see that when I look at this, that these two, they're in progress and they've got a reminder on them. Okay. don't start again. Don't start it. Control Command Space works everywhere, Kim. It doesn't matter whether you're in WhatsApp. I've got WhatsApp on the desktop, whether it's messages, anywhere. It works everywhere that you are. So it's one to commit to memory. Control Command Space, and another one to remember is Shift Command and Backspace, and that will bring you up the help in any application, which is fabulous. Right, so the reminders, don't start again, because in essence it's this with a different query on it. So you click on the 6 dots and you say duplicate. Don't hit delete. And you hope that Notion's in a really good mood. Excellent. Now, it's defaulting to the table view. So while I've said duplicated, and it'll look like that, you might think, well, it doesn't look like that, does it? That's because in here, when we made the inbox view, it automatically saved the table view. So I don't like that actually having table view on the end, so it's better to be called table. What you need to do is to move to the top the one you actually want. And when you do that, when it duplicates, that's the one it gets. So in here we have a table view that we don't need, but I'll put table in. And if I bring the inbox to the top, but I don't want this called inbox, I want this to be reminders. What did I call it? I think I just called it list. Because it's going to be a list, isn't it? There we go. So all I've done is rename it. But query, not right. So I'm going to go into here and I need a filter on it. Good morning, Paul. How are you? So the filter I need on this one is where the reminder date is on or before. And I tend to do it with either a week or a month. So it depends. So let's say a week from now. And that gives us the 3 entries that we've got. This is like being shouted at, isn't it? Let's take it down a bit. This shows us the 3 that have a date on them. Now, I'm not a fan of all this stuff over here. What I want to see in my reminders, so let's go into, not our filter, no, our properties. In the properties, it's got tags are turned on. Don't want tags turned on. What I particularly want turned on is status. So just slide the status to on. You can, it shows them in this order. So if you want something else on there, probably reminder date. Now, I tend to put that with the date to the side. That date's going to drive me insane because it's not a UK date, but never mind. Now, this one is in the reminders because it's got a reminder date. And that reminder date is within the right thing. But what is this not showing us here? What date is that showing us? Review date. I don't want the review date. I want the reminder date. And that way, put that one at the top. That shows me when these things are due for reviewing. Clearly that Teachable Summit should already have been done by now. How interesting. Right. I would also put on here a sort to be absolutely certain that it's sorted by the reminder date. And do we want it going up? Probably we do. Because if I've only got a short amount of time to review this, I want to look in here and think that that one's the oldest and needs doing. So I would put on this one as well. Let's give it a status of, let's say, not started. And hang on, in progress. There we are. So we've taken the table that was the inbox and with very little effort turned it into the reminders. We can do exactly the same with the others that are needed. So there are 3 more. Right, I'm going to duplicate the reminder one. So duplicate that. This one is going to be the review. Reminders are more important, so my reminders are at the top. This actually hasn't got a title at the moment. And every time I look for this icon, I can never find it. It is an emoji. I just don't know where it's from. So it's that I'm going to drag up to there. And that gives me the title. This, however, is not what I want to see, because this needs to be, change the filter, where the review date is on or before a week from now. And I have it for review that I need to review that Teachable Summit. Doesn't matter to me that it's in both. One's a review, which means if you've got time, and this one means get on with it. There's a reminder on it. Right, 2 more that we need. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this one again. And this duplicating just saves you a lot of time doing work over and over that you don't need to do. So we've got our one down here. This one I consider to be current courses. So all I'm doing is copying and pasting the headings from mine. But this is again just an emoji putting in exactly the same way. Grab that and put it up there. And obviously this here isn't current courses, is it? Because it needs a filter of its own for this, and it wouldn't actually be based on date. So this one's going to need a bit of editing. So we'll go into the filter. I don't care about the review date. It's got to be something that's in progress. So its status would need to be in progress. It's a current course. It's something I'm doing right now. I also need it to be, so we'll add a filter. I need it to be where the type of it, what is this, the content type, is a course. And I don't have course down there at the moment, so I can't particularly do that. I'm going to make it YouTube and then go back and fix it. Okay. And I've got one over there that I don't need. So that's it. That's all it needs to be. But at the moment, we don't have in here that this is a course. Now, this one isn't a course, but all I need to do to create that is just put course in one of them and then delete it. That's all it needs. That's created it. I go back into the filter. You should have picked that up. Maybe we need to refresh the page. Hey, at least Notion's letting me refresh the page. Okay. Oh, it didn't. Crying out loud. Come on. All right. Well, I'm going to need the first one, don't I? That one, that's a course. I'd call that a course. Although it's down as a summit as well, isn't it? Well, now it's a course because we need one. Right, we'll say it's a course because we need one. Right, and in here where it's in progress and it's a course. And now that one pops up in there as well. We only need one more thing to make this workable, which is stuff that you've added recently. Because although we've got an inbox, don't get this confused with something you can clip to. It's not that. It's not the clip thing. That is something that you manually decide to put in your inbox. What we actually need to see what's been added recently is a recents thing. That's it. So I need a heading and it needs to start with a star because that's what recent. Star and recent. Make it a heading 1. If you're wondering how I'm doing the headings, that's Command Option 1, 2 and 3. They give you the headings. And then pretty much I could duplicate any one of these. Which one looks the most like I need? Let me have a look what I've got in the properties of this one. Not much, just the status. So this one here, this inbox, that would probably do. So I'll duplicate that. So a lot of this is duplicating it, but it's a lot easier than doing it all by hand. A lot easier. Oh, is Notion having a moment? There we go. Right. So drag that under recent. I don't want that to be called inbox. I'd probably call that recent. Now, I might have recent meaning multiple things. So I'm just going to call this recent at the moment. And let's say I don't particularly need that table, so let's get rid of that view. Right, that gives me 2 things in here because the filter is set to where the tag contains inbox. What I actually want it to be is where the created date is, and I want that to be on or after something, and let's say we said a week ago. Right, all of that is new in here. All of that was created less than a week ago. And I would put a sort on it to make sure that it is by created date descending. So the newest is at the top. And I would put my progress things on it. So some of these don't have a progress. That's an indication to me that I've clipped something and it's new and it's in here. That's grand. But I need to do something with it. I need to go in here and put some stuff on it. So I've not done anything with it. So if I were to say, you know, this is an article, and then go and find the article, or go and find a link, go and find a video. You see what happens when I put that in? We've actually got a template for that, which I'll look at more next week. But the most important thing is to make sure that the content type is in there. So an article in this case. If there is a URL, put that in. If there's a delivery date, so if we say that was like the 22nd, when do I want to review that? How long do I want that to languish there before I look at it? And if I say the 4th, that will automatically add it for review over here. So this is how the 5 views link together. And then I would go through to the big course and do the same with that. Fill in the meta at the top. If you keep the meta at the top tidy, obviously there's going to be more meta at the bottom, but if you keep the meta at the top organised, then this dashboard will be your friend. Now, one thing I can't abide in here, as I've just said, with the fact of how bland these are, I would probably go into these, and if it's not started, it's probably going to be red. And I do the same thing, so Command Control, and then in here, put in a colour and pick a dot. Put a space. Then go to the in progress, which I would probably want to be an orangey colour, maybe yellow. Let's go for yellow. Right, same thing again, Command Control and spacebar, and I'd like a yellow dot. And luckily all of these coloured dots are available. And then if it's complete, it would be green, and I would probably put a green dot. So green. And there's my green dot. And a space, and we're done. And that's how I add colour to it. I much prefer that with the dots on it. Just draws your attention. But what is below the fold is where the action is. You know, if you're doing a 300-hour course, that's where you're going to spend most of your time. This top level is just anything that you consume that you consider to be learning content. And we have a pretty dashboard. There's one item that I add to that, which is in the sidebar over here. 3 dashes gives you a line. And then underneath that, I add a changelog, which is Command Option 9 to make it a page. I do have a particular icon for that, and I do like it wide, and Notion doesn't. Right, in here, that's not bad actually, but that's not what I use. Let's see if it'll pick up tool. Yeah, it's one of these. It's that one, the little spanner thing on it. And then I actually do put in a changelog, and I do that properly in terms of I'm going to copy this. It'll be faster, she said. Apart from when it all goes belly up, as it were. Right, I'm going to copy this from mine just purely for speed, and let's see what it makes of it. Oh, you wouldn't, would you? Swine. Swine. I don't know what it's trying to read, actually. It looks like a reference it's trying to read. Okay, let me see if I can copy it manually. Should be able to copy that. It's basically a page that I've got, and it's got the syntax of it. So, oh, now we've upset it, haven't we? Right, it's gone. Right, so what I've got here, obviously this is not right, is it? Because this is ages ago. But we will do this for today. This is the first iteration of this, so I've not added, changed or removed anything. I'm still building it at this point. Unreleased and experimentation means stuff I'm trying. When I then decide, you know what, we'll deploy this, then I add another changelog. So let me paste in here. I'm going to make a page, changelog reference, and make that a page. When I open that up, I'm actually going to paste in full width, for crying out loud. Hopefully this will paste in. There we go. That is a reference, that's a link of what a changelog needs to look like. Syntactically, that's a changelog. So I keep that there as a reference. So that's in my changelog, which I have that in a toggle. And I think I call it changelog reference, and then it's embedded in it. So instead of having this at this point, I put that in there, and that way I don't actually have to look at it. It's in there. I even change the colour of it, so I make it a very pale colour. Only time I use yellow, so my eye isn't drawn to it. And then as I start working, I put entries in here. And once I've decided I've experimented enough, then I will add a new changelog entry, which is that. But I don't want to type that or copy it and paste it. I actually have up here a template, which will let me make a changelog entry. Now I have a new changelog entry, which could do with being fixed, couldn't it? Right, let me copy that and show you how to do that. I don't think we've done templates, have we? So let's do that right now. Let's fix that. Right, we have the ability to create a template button. And this is what a template button looks like. You type /template and you get this. Right, and you can configure the button. Okay, so it says at the moment, add a new to-do. That's the name, that's the text you see. Right. So if we change that to add changelog entry, that's the text we'll see. This bit down here is what will actually appear in the page. And we don't want that because we've got this. So if we lose that completely and we change that to 2021, that's what I want created. So basically I'm saying when I click this button, which is called add changelog entry, make that. And then I hit close. And there is my button. That is my button that I'm going to put between those two lines. That is the button. I know it's quite wide, but that is the button. You can edit the button by going in here. And you can close that from editing. But to use it, all you need to do is hit that and then move the line back up there. And that's my new entry. And I do tend to make that green, I think. So I would probably make that green. Right, let's do that. If you type / a colour at the end, it will automatically change it. If I want to change that in the template, go back into it, find it, and will it let me do the green thing there? Yes, it will. Okay, so that's me editing the template. Next time I do it, it will be green automatically. Okay, so that's how I do the changelog, and that is from the home page, the dashboard. It's the last item on it, and that's incredibly valuable. If you make changes from this initial point, or even if you're thinking, I think it would be a good idea if I added something or I took this away, then having it in that changelog, you've got like an audit history to go back through and think, why did I do that? And you'll find the instructions there if you know, I decided to add this because. The more verbose you can be, the better, to be honest. Future you will thank past you. And we have a dashboard. I'm expecting beautiful things next week. I want to see screenshots of dashboards and all kinds of things. Right, I need to lose this kind of stuff to do this kind of stuff because... brace yourselves, we have an unboxing. But give me 30 seconds because the unboxing is going to have to happen on my desk. You can hear my board with all my pens in moving. You might need to put that on your desk, Mike, because I haven't got room for that and you and everything else. So give me a second while we turn everything on here. I also said I'd demo that, so leave that there to remind me, Mike. Right, you're going to be talking into that and I'll move my keyboard for you.
Thank you.
I know, I'm good, aren't I?
You are.
I am.
Right.
Right, let's move that back a smidgen. I think we've got it. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need me.
Did you press record?
Yes, that's what I've
Right.
done over here.
Right.
Oh. Right, but they won't be seeing you at the moment, will they?
No.
No, so let's get
Best
them to
way,
see.
really.
Well, there you go. There's you. Well, it's not actually you, is it? It's my desk, but there you go.
Right.
You need to turn that on over there because it looks a bit... Can we see it without that light? It's not bad, but it's not great, is it?
It's a cardboard box.
He's unboxing a cardboard box. There's your microphone, Mike.
Right. It's a cardboard box.
Jonathan's going to be giddy tomorrow morning.
And in this cardboard box, there is something that I've already demoed on After Hours. But the last one broke. Well, I don't know if it broke. It stopped working, but it might not have broke.
What he means is it's not come to me yet for revival, but carry on.
No, it could be a driver issue. So if this one doesn't work, then it's going back.
Rip this off here. This is the pair of scissors here.
Oh, right, okay.
I'll start at this end.
You start the yeah. Let's not damage the cardboard box.
No, it might need to go
in case
back.
it has to go back.
Right, there you go. I think you should be able to rip that off now, shouldn't you? Try that.
Right, so hopefully you can see this.
I think we'd have heard if they could.
I don't do many unboxings, so it's all. I'm an unboxing novice.
Oh, he's a virgin, bless him.
I wouldn't say I'm a virgin.
Really?
Not an unboxing one anyway. It is. Oh, it's all packed up.
Oh, that looks like
it
an
actually
apple
looks
box.
like an apple box.
Let me get the box out of the way. Get it on the table.
There we go.
Oh,
It's a portable monitor in Apple packaging.
He does. It looks like an
does,
apple toy.
yeah. I wonder if they sent it me an Apple toy.
No, I don't think
No,
so.
right. It's a portable monitor to replace the one that may or may not be broken, which has stopped working on my. It's a portable monitor.
Oh, there's an echo in here. Carry on.
There's an echo in here. Yeah, there's a portable monitor to replace the one that stopped working on my Windows laptop, my work laptop, and my Surface. So either it's a driver issue, in which case this is might not help me.
The saga was Mike has been carrying a big monitor from the studio into the office to work while he's looking after Lola. So he said, I need a dongle and I need a cable and I need this and I need power. And I said, why don't you just get another portable monitor? And that's what happened.
Right, should we finish the unboxing?
So the benefit of a portable monitor is it doesn't need power. It just needs USB and you're done.
I can't actually get into it.
Oh, that bit's come
Oh,
off.
there we go. I would have used my teeth, but Kim wouldn't have approved.
Don't ever use your teeth for it.
No.
Oh, the excitement. Does it smell like new Mac?
No.
Oh, no.
Right.
Right, give me the plastic. There you go.
Okay. Ooh, it
Does it do the apple
yeah,
thing?
It does actually. Yeah, there we go.
There
we go. Right.
It's 15.6 inches, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
There's a finger thing at that end.
Right. And there we go.
Oh, there's a thank you card.
Oh.
Oh, look, isn't that
lovely,
sweet?
yeah.
That's dinky.
Right.
Anyway, what's in the box? Let's see. There's lots of cables.
There's cables. There's 2 cables.
It does smell like new Mac. It does. There's 3 cables.
Okay, are they all the same?
No. No, it looks like standard USB to
I'm going to try and open
USB-C.
this with the camera enabled, because otherwise all they're looking
Don't
at
rip the thing off there. Rip it off this way.
a plastic box.
You might have to put it back in this yet. Oh, he's got a case as well.
Yeah, comes with a case.
And you didn't explain the most important bit.
What's the most important
God
bit?
almighty, don't make this easy, do
Oh, it's
they?
got a kickstand.
Oh, it looks like a little surface.
Right.
Take that off.
Take the cover off. There we go.
That's the back of it.
Yeah.
Oh, let me move that for you.
Oh, there we go. So it's got a little kickstand.
Yeah, the other way, I think. It's that way, isn't it? There we
Yeah.
go. So, oh, hang on. How does that stand up? Hang on, that bit's come off. She's the top. How was that supposed to stand on that?
I don't know, but I'll work it out.
What's this bit? Oh, this is technical. Anyway, there's the monitor.
Right.
And there's the stand.
Right, well, I'm going to take it over there and try and figure it out.
Oh, you're disappearing now?
Yeah.
Oh, bless. Right, so I'll take over with what else is in the box. So it's got a USB-C adapter. So there's USB-C to USB-C. There is, that looks like, I'm not quite sure what that one is. It's got a standard USB on it, but let's have a look.
I'm sure there must be some instructions.
I'll get those over to you in a minute
to
when we finish looking at them, Mike. That one is HDMI to USB-C. Let's put that one on there. And I presume this is standard USB to USB-C. So do you realise those 3 cables are probably about 30 quid's worth right there? And what else have we got in the pretty box? Oh, look, there's an instruction manual, Mike.
I might need that.
I think you might. There you go. Let's Mike have a look at the instructions. There we go. There you go. And there's a box. What's in the magic box? Oh, excitement. Nope, doesn't rattle. Need to undo it. Doesn't rattle.
Take
Oh.
care when holding. Hold the bottom part of the monitor.
Yeah, in other words, don't put your fingers on the screen because it doesn't end well.
Hold both sides.
Oh,
of
how
it.
incredibly useful. Oh, no, I stand corrected. It's a British one. It's a USB power thingy. There we go. So that's in there too. And it's one of those neat little fold-up ones where the prong pops out. If you've never seen one of these, let me share it with you. Apple started making these and then took them out. So we have very strange plugs in the UK, don't we? Like a triangle. This one does it flat, basically. That should pop up, I think, because otherwise that's not going to go in the wall, is it? It must pop up somehow. There we go. So it's flat packed, thus. And that might look like a UK plug, but trust me, a UK plug, that needs to be much higher. So it comes out like that. That goes up and down. That is the earth, and there's nothing there. So it only really needs the bottom 2 prongs, but obviously to go in the plug socket, it's going to need the top one. So there we go. Nice and neat and tidy. And that is standard USB there. You can just about see that.
So are these all the same?
No, they're not all the same, Mike. Which one are you looking for? What do you want to plug it into?
My work laptop.
USB. You've randomly picked the right one,
or
then.
an HDMI.
That's a HDMI. You want that one?
I'll use the HDMI.
Right, there we go. So there's all these cables. So would you say that was a punt, or was it just a genius idea on my part?
Genius idea.
I thought so. They usually are. They usually are. So that was his excitement. That arrived. That was the latest Amazon delivery I've ever known. About 10:30 last night. Yeah. It was ridiculous. So he decided, instead of recording the unboxing, he'd actually do the unboxing live because he could. Because it's been sat there all day. Oh, so what do you guys think of that? I need to see the chat. So let me get this lot back in the box, because do you know what? We're not finished yet. We've got other excitement. I do think that's very, very Apple-esque. And it does smell like new Mac. Might have to hijack that. There we go. Right. I said I would demonstrate this. Okay.
Do you want your thingy back?
Not yet. This is just my iPad stand, so you wouldn't think it was anything thrilling, would you? But it was talked about the other day about iPad stands.
Kim now wants one.
Of course you do, Kim. I haven't got one yet. I want one too. I'll see how mine goes with it. We were talking about iPad stands and saying that, you know, it's difficult to get one that holds all of the iPads in all of the orientations without toppling over. This one does. So let me get my 11-inch iPad. Right, so it pops on that way. It's very, very light, that. It works the other way. It works with the 12.9-inch. But one of the things it isn't intended for, but it works, is this. Right, so obviously you can put that either way. You can put it any way you like. But if you put it down that way, which obviously is not how it was intended, because these things here are intended to hold the iPad. But if you tip it that way and push that down, so it ends up looking like that. So if it was stood up, it would be like that, and the iPad would be in here. But if you pop that down, you also get the ability to have the iPad propped up for writing purposes, which is genius. It's total genius. One stand fits all. I think it's a Lamicall, I think. Is it a Lamicall? Yes, it is. It's the Lamicall S stand. So it's got the cable hole at the back as well. But it is a Lamicall S stand. They do it in various colours. I think it was on offer in the silver, so I went for the silver. But I just like the fact of how flexible it is in terms of what you can do with it. So I promised I would show it. There it is. I have shown it. And there is how it usually is with my iPad stuck to it. And like I said, it does take the bigger iPad. Here we have a bigger iPad. There we go. There's the 12.9 iPad. Oh, you can just see my screen, can't you? And it stands the other way as well with the big iPad. So given how light that is, I wouldn't particularly travel with that though, because of the shape of it. I have flat ones to travel with. But in the office, that's what I use. I need to shut these what's up as well. I'm getting notifications because it's past midnight. Right, let me get rid of that. So I promised I would show that. There you go. That's it. And my somewhat grubby iPad. But I said we hadn't finished, didn't I? So we need to get back to the iMac. There we go. Where did I put my keyboard? Here's my keyboard. Right, so we've done the unboxing. Mike can put the link in for that, etc. Coming up. Oh, brace yourselves. Oh, I hear something turning on. Something made a noise.
Yeah, it's Windows.
That might not end well then. Right, coming up. Oh, well, first of all, next week, we have another show. We are going to be doing part 4 of the Notion LMS, where we will wrap it up next week. I'm looking at the chat now. Yeah, I'll make sure he doesn't do that, Kim. I'm always telling him not to do that with his teeth. Sarah didn't even know they existed. No, Mike's had one for a while. Basically for work, if you think about what he actually does, of course you need that. Who doesn't need 2 monitors when you're doing video conferencing all day, every day? But work didn't want to pay for it, did they? So I said, just buy one. Shame them into it. Shame them into it. So that's what happened. Other than that, next week, haven't decided. So, you know, not too late to send in requests, etc. But, oh, we have something special. It's me for the win. Yay. It's such a shame young Jonathan isn't here to enjoy this live. That's all I'll say. We've come up with a plan. You know what we're like. Plus the fact, the 6th of March is our 1-year anniversary of being in lockdown. I do remember the outside world, but only vaguely. And I don't think I'm missing anything. No, you guys are much more fun. So we decided we'd celebrate with Mad March. What could we possibly do to have even more fun? Oh, we're going live every Sunday at 3 p.m. UK time. I know that's an early start, Kim, but it's going to be so worth it. We're going live for 5 weeks. It's starting on the 7th of March. That is the 7th, isn't it? 5th, 6th. It's the 7th of March. All right. And then the 14th, 21st, 28th. And finally, we're wrapping up on the 4th of April. Can you believe it's going to be April in 5 weeks? But what are we doing? Well, I've threatened these for that long. You'll probably think, oh, thank heavens, it's actually happening. We are starting with mastering the export persona in Affinity Designer. Oh, we are. The export persona in Affinity Designer is to die for. Simply the best feature. Now, I know young Jonathan, he's rather keen on smart objects now, but I think the export persona edges even that. It's amazing. So I will do a deep dive on that. Then we've got mastering blend modes in Affinity Photo, which again has been around for a while. Kiva will have to walk in the dark. Yeah, 7 a.m. starts. It's bad news, isn't it? But the reason we picked 3 o'clock was we looked at the YouTube stats, and apparently most people watch at 3 o'clock on a Sunday. So I said, well, I'm quite happy to do the lives at 3 o'clock on a Sunday, so let's do them at 3 o'clock and see what happens. So we have a 5-week experimentation. Peter, nobody kicks off at 3 o'clock on a Sunday. 4:30 is the earliest, and there are a couple of games. There you go.
I have indeed checked the fixture list.
Thought he might. Oh, export's still a mystery for Renee. Oh, you're going to love this. It is amazing. Right, so those are the first 2. Then we've got creative tables in Affinity Publisher. I know Tracy's struggling with tables in Affinity Publisher, and it's so fragmented how it works, and yet you can do the most amazing things. So we're not going to be looking at just standard, it's got black borders and it's got black text and doesn't it look like Excel? No, we're going to be doing creative tables that look amazing. Because they can be done easily in Affinity Publisher. And the other thing we're doing in Affinity Publisher is mastering masters in Affinity Publisher. There's lots to masters, and there's nesting, and there's all sorts. So we're going to look at mastering masters. And we're wrapping up, which will be Easter Sunday, with Adobe Bridge 2021. Bizarrely, looking at my stats, I put a video up about a bit of Adobe Bridge in 2011, and it has had more views than most videos on my channel. It's bizarre. It must have just struck a chord. Now, given that it's completely free and we don't have any alternative in terms of really robust free asset managers, I thought it was time to deep dive Adobe Bridge. So we did look. We did a little short thing saying this is Bridge and look, you can create this and you can do that. But it can do so much more, and I promised an extra session. So there you go. It will be an extra session. So that was a sneak peek. I haven't even got the dates on those yet. There will be a mail going out. Probably the VIP list first, because it's more my stuff than MacBites. That's why there's 2 lists. I have to think who's going to get uppity. Who's going to throw all their toys out of the pram because they've got an email that they didn't ask for. Trust me, we have double opt-in, as Tony well knows, to the point that if you don't click the right link, then you've got to wait 30 days. Honestly, the GDPR is rock solid. Rock solid. And then I get somebody saying, why have you sent me this? I never asked for this. And I thought, you did. And I've got the date you signed up if you want to know. So it'll go out to the VIP list first with all of the details. But I thought we needed a sneak peek here. So consider that a sneak peek. Right, also available on demand, as you know by now, is youtube.com/ElaineGiles, and you can watch all of the videos, including the secret playlist for After Hours, which you can get to directly if you go to macbites.co.uk/afterhoursplaylist. This week, we will still be marooned at MacBites headquarters. And as you saw earlier, my pain in getting those shows published was never intended to be a podcast. And it was actually not intended to run for more than 5 days. The pain of getting it published. Do subscribe. Make it worth my while. That's the URL. I should put that on a what's it, shouldn't I, Mike? A QR code. Remind me, follow up. I'll put a QR code on that, make it easier. All of that is happening at MacBites FM. We love you guys. If you love us, can you give us a like? Really makes a difference to YouTube, particularly if you enjoyed the smart objects. I think Jonathan's probably sitting there thinking, how many likes can I put on this? Because he was very excited. So excited, he fell unconscious. Poor Jonathan. So as I say, all the details, the running order and what I'm included, will be going out to elainegiles.com/VIP first. But we will send out reminders to MacBites as well. But it'll just go out there first. So that one was elainegiles.com/VIP, and the MacBites one is macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail. We are also in Slack 24/7. Oh, it's fantastic in Slack. We have great conversations. And you can join us, macbites.co.uk/Slack. And there is where you can contact us. I just saw something about extra points. At no point did I say there were points involved in this. I am not risking that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Good grief. Oh, I'd imagine what might Jonathan be doing? I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah, Tony, do that. That's what I was going to suggest to you.
Yeah, that's either it didn't send it, which is unusual because everybody else is signing up, or you just missed it somehow, or it went off in the ether. Okay, I'm glad you love the show, Kim. He'll try and get an extra point, but they're not pointable. No. It's an after hours thing. Can you imagine trying to explain to some people on my list that we have points for making it to the end? They'd probably lock me up. Stephen's looking forward to the Mastering Masters. How's your Styles stuff? Because Styles was one of my other options. It was a close run thing between Textiles, Mastering Textiles, and Mastering Masters. But I put off the Textiles one for a good reason. So we'll see how the 5 weeks go. And then we'll decide what we're doing with the others. There you go. We'll see how 3 o'clock on a Sunday goes. Glad you enjoyed it, Sarah. You're signing up with another thing. Excellent. And Paul is looking forward to the Sunday sessions. Excellent. I hope it doesn't clash with anything with you, Paul. I'll have to get my clock set up with Ohio on it again. Is it 6 hours or 7? It's 6, isn't it? I think it's 6. Good. John's had a good time. Excellent. I hope you have all enjoyed it. We're going to head off because we've got stuff sorted for tomorrow, haven't we? Textiles would be nice too. The thing with textiles is I don't think I can do those in isolation from another section. So I thought what I'd do is put it into 2 pieces, possibly 3, but I'm thinking 2. So let me just plan that out and we'll see how we go with it. Kim says, like the 2 of you don't put out enough content. Well, there's that. Is that worth an extra point, Kim? Just asking for a friend. -5 at the moment. Good grief.
That's 5 hours.
I can't keep up with that, Paul. Are we in Do Not Copy and Paste week already?
No.
Oh, was it 5 then? Paul's trying to translate 3 p.m. What time zone are you?
He's in Sydney.
That doesn't help me.
11 hours.
That's not good. Paul, let's just say that it's not good. It could be better, unless you want to get up at 4 in the morning, obviously.
Ohio's 7:20, so yeah, it's 5.
5 hours, right? Okay. I always get confused.
Same as East Coast.
I've got a friend who lives in the 7-hour zone. Is that mountain time? And he lives in this time zone, which is 7 hours, but he's 6 hours because they don't change their time zones. Just to add to the humour of it all. I'm going to remember that now. That's 5 hours. So that's New York. That's Kevin, I think, as well. And you are -8. I know where Kim is, and that is -8. It's when you're in the -7, but you're not because you're in -6, and Paul's clearly in 5. It's all getting very confusing, but it'll be fine. I don't think it's going to work too well for Paul. But Paul, it will be available on demand. So there you go. And Stephen says in Ireland they're 20 years behind. We are definitely in the same time zone, Stephen, as far as I know. Oh, mind you, wasn't part of the Brexit thing that we didn't change our clocks. We've got more to worry about now than what time it is. But back in the day, that was like, and we will have blue passports and we will change our clocks when we want, or not. So I've no idea what's happening there. But there you go. So tomorrow's going to be a busy day sorting it all out. But, you know, all adds to it, doesn't it? So there's just one more thing to do, isn't there? One very, very important thing to do. I think I've given him long enough. Kim has called it. Let's get in there. Right, I am up to 8. Do you realise, looking at that it looks like Jonathan managed to beat me twice, doesn't it? But both of those points were New Year's Day. And he hasn't made it to the end of a show since. But never mind. He catches up on a Saturday morning when I'm well away. So good morning to you, Jonathan. I know you got overexcited and hence the early night. It was the smart objects that did it, wasn't it, Mike? I knew it would be. Anyway, let's get that back to that. So hard luck, Jonathan. Better luck at 3 o'clock. If he doesn't make it to the end of 3 o'clock, Kim, I want 20 points. But I'm not at all sure I'm prepared to share points. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's get that back to there. And if you want to make any suggestions or anything like that, there's all the contact details. But the way Twitter's going, yeah, no. Twitter want to charge super fans. It is. So they actually want. They're not doing anything to earn this money. They want content creators to put out unique content via Twitter and charge their followers $4.99 a month to see it. Sometimes there are just no words.
I was just going to say that. There are no words.
YouTube have a fantastic system that's totally voluntary. We might think about that for these sessions. It's totally voluntary. You don't lose anything by not doing it, but you gain things by doing it. That's totally different, Twitter. That's totally different. Plus the fact all Twitter are really doing is giving you 260 characters. When you think about what YouTube give you totally for free in terms of hosting the file, the bandwidth to play the file, I think YouTube are doing quite a lot already. But Twitter, no. Can we edit a tweet yet?
No.
I mean, seriously, I joined in 2008. So 13 years, can't edit a tweet. You can delete one, but you can't edit it. How long have we been saying, what do we really, 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 really want? Yeah, about those 13 years, pretty much. Never mind Twitter. I'll look into the YouTube thing, where you can all get badges and stuff, and we'll see how that goes. But for the moment, I'm going to say good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.